If at that time they really did meet, Zhao Hanyan did not really mind fulfilling just once a wife's duties after the intertwined branches, of course, making some egotistic and shameless guy kneel on a washboard, too, was also a duty she should fulfill in her capacity of a wife. Let's leave first. Zhao Hanyan raised her head and looked at the sky, her brows slightly wrinkled. She felt she had stayed in the void Liangshan for a very long time. How had the final crimson star still not contracted? Inside the void Liangshan, Su Xing and the rest entered a serene bamboo forest. These bamboo shoots were verdant like green jade, crystals resembling colored glass. Those dark green bamboo leaves were even more pure and limpid than astral gemstones. A breeze brushed past, and the bamboo forest then echoed distantly, an ancient echo, as if it had come from another world. Tranquility yields transcendence, this is all spirit green bamboo? 3. And Suan covered her mouth in amazement. Having arrived at the void Liangshan for this many days, this still was the first time that vegetation made the efficacious star feel amazement. These bamboo shoots were used to recover spirit energy. The medicine medium of replenishment pills was an exceptionally good material, so of course what would most make the efficacious star amazed was this many spirit green bamboo that was sufficient enough for the essence-swallowing dragons to eat their fill. This void Liangshan truly is eccentric. Wu Xinjie was unable to make it out. If it were not for the time limit, this simply was a treasure trove for everyone. She also was increasingly certain that this was a part of the star unicorn world of legend. Let's recover here for the time being. Su Xing looked at the purple star pearl. There was still some time given to them to use. All right. And Suan released more than 20 essence-swallowing dragons. After the essence-swallowing dragons appeared, they excitedly filled the sky in a wild dance. In this feeding frenzy in the middle of the bamboo forest, the slender bodies released a green light following their absorption of the spirit qi. Among them, one essence-swallowing dragon's light reached the pinnacle, and it suddenly became 2 dragons. Then after its body dimmed, it once again swallowed the pure qi. Right, what uses does this feather have? Su Xing took out several green feathers. These are the feathers of the green-feathered storm. They are known as clear sky feathers. If these green feathers are used as something to sew into clothing or boots, then your body techniques would appear to rise into the sky. It is a pity that you are lacking a few more. Su Xing's eyes lit up. Sure Yuan, let's the 2 of us go get clear sky feathers. Okay. Sure Yuan excitedly said. Young master, in the case that you are locked onto by this kind of demon beast, you will not be able to outrun it. The green-feathered storm's speed indeed is 1,000 li in a flash. I won't run into it. Su Xing remembered that many clear sky feathers had fallen near the nest. As long as the 2 carefully relied on their concealment techniques, he was not afraid of alarming them. Isn't this too risky? Wu Xinjie was slightly worried. She felt her master truly had every sort of outrageous idea. Master, I shall accompany you. Lin Yingmei said. Yingmei, this time, you accompany Xinjie and Suan. Sure Yuan and I are enough. Su Xing said. Lin Yingmei wanted to say something but hesitated. Finally, she nevertheless nodded. Wu Xinjie and Suan did not have any military force and needed someone to be present. Then, master, be on your guard. After a few more instructions, there was no time to lose. Su Xing released a flying sword, and Shi Yuan stepped on, both her hands embracing Su Xing from behind, very pleasurably leaning against his back. Su Xing did not say much, his flying sword drawing a green light that flew towards the green-feathered storm's nest. Su Xing. Shi Yuan softly called. N? Do you like that Princess Ling Yan? The thief star asked. Su Xing turned his head and smiled. Why ask this? Are you afraid that I've been confused by her? Shi Yuan nodded. That pair of great, shining eyes was very serious. She is the great Liang's first princess. Seeing her appear that beautiful, and signing some intertwined thing with you, Su Xing, she truly is too shameless. Su Xing broke into laughter. Don't think too much about it. Oh. The strong winds parted, the clouds and mist pushed aside and scattered. It was not long after that a towering immense mountain appeared before their eyes. The two raised their heads, seeing only countless gigantic shadows circled the more than 10,000 zhang above. An approaching imposing air came from all directions to immobilize them. Su Xing hastily controlled the flying sword to fly downward, then he used oneness of heaven and man. When the presence disappeared, the greed-feathered storms also scattered away once more. Dropping down at the foot of the mountain, Shi Yuan frowned. This is basically cannot be climbed? Those demon beasts guarded the nest very strictly. There simply was no way to get close. Shi Yuan, are you afraid of getting filthy? Su Xing's eyelids hopped. Su Xing, you underestimate this young lady too much. This young lady has crashed her way through tombs full of maggots. As the best thief under heaven, this young lady has this point of professional ethic. Shi Yuan proudly puffed out her chest. In a moment, we're going to take a secret path. Su Xing glanced at the pool and chuckled. Several days later in the forest of spirit green bamboo, Wu Xinjie's back leaned on a bamboo shoot, looking over the purple star bead in her hand. The purple star bead already showed 4 cracks, and any further, the final crack would have connected with the other 3 cracks. At that time, the purple star pearl would just completely shatter. What a pity, ah, what a pity. The knowledge star sighed. She had still taken the trouble of being exploited by Princess Ling Yan to heart. If she had known the purple star pearl had this additional kind of effect, she would not have let Princess Ling Yan be the quick-footed one that climbed up first. Refinement has been finished. As she thought this, from the side came excited words. Wu Xinjie clenched the pearl and turned her head, seeing Ensuan's entire face filled with joy. She cautiously and solemnly took out 3 pills from a green pot. Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei crowded around her. Is the refinement finished? So this is the special blooming water pill? The two asked. After they entered the grove, Ensuan began using the thunder water flower snake crown and the thunder water flowers to start refining a pill that aided the cultivation of the blooming water divine thunder according to the blooming water cultivating origin pills. The efficacious star deserved the name the divine physician. This type of single special pill from a sect had been refined by her. Of course, this was thanks to the spirit green bamboo's pure spiritual qi. The refined blooming water pill had even greater effect than the previous blooming water cultivating origin pill. Not only could it stabilize the blooming water divine thunder in the body, it could even make a more fusion with the purple star transforming qi. Ensuan dubbed this the blooming water spirit mixing pill. 5. They stayed this long in the void Liangshan. Wu Xinjie finally heard good news. Young master is almost about to return. As she said this, the forest filled with a continuous hua-hua sound. A flying sword broke the sky and descended. Su Xing and Shi Yuan just happened to rush back. Young master, you're not injured? Wu Xinjie asked, concerned. Shi Yuan blinked her eyes, an expression of wishing to continue their adventure together. Su Xing and I took a secret path that lead directly to the nest. Every day, we just easily took away a few green feathers. That big bird simply did not perceive us. Indeed, it was too relaxed. Oh, right, we also obtained something good in passing. Su Xing conveniently waved. A white jade ring shot out of his astral bag, and the halo swelled in the wind. Astonishingly, it was Zhao Hanyan's molten halo. Originally, Zhao Hanyan used this halo to cover a chick's beak, and in a moment of desperation, she did not retrieve it. This fell on the ground the moment Zhao Hanyan left and was conveniently taken away. Su Xing also erased the molten halo's divine intent and rudely carved down his own. Young master has obtained the clear sky feathers, and little sister Suan also successfully refined the blooming water spirit mixing pill. The essence swallowing dragons have also been bred to a number of 50. This trip to the void Liangshan is not at all an empty-handed venture. Are we returning now? Wu Xinjie returned the purple star pearl to Su Xing. The pearl's cracks already enlarged, so there was not any sort of time left. Right now, we should go get the Yangshan outlaw jade pendant. Su Xing said. But even if we went to find a suitable demon beast right now, there is no more time. Lin Yingmei frowned. In addition, a 6th rank demon beast is very difficult to handle. Wu Xinjie also said. Isn't there a demon beast that is the best target? Su Xing smiled and said, it should have sustained heavy injuries, so we still have a chance. Could it be that young master plans to? The knowledge star stared blankly. Atop the sea, the breeze is still and the waves quiet. Su Xing glanced at each of the girls. He nodded, and Shi Yuan shouted, releasing 2 copper man puppets. The immense puppets began to turn the sky and earth upside down in the sea, their heavy fists smashing into the sea again and again. Lin Yingmei discreetly saved her star energy, the Arctic star spear's penetration matchless. On the spear was a bright star increasingly radiant. Su Xing concentrated the blooming water divine thunder. After using the blooming water spirit mixing pill, the blooming water divine thunder had turned even more powerful compared to before. A flower water thunder 10 meters in size was made by Su Xing suspended in midair. The purple lightning reflected a purple color in the surrounding 10 li of sea. Wu Xinjie's eyes like fire and lightning penetrated into the deep sea, her hand pinching more than a dozen middle-grade talismans. And Suan's child and mother-linked heart's needles also floated, waiting at any time for her command. Everything was nervously in progress, waiting for it to show itself. A crying weep that sent pain into their hearts abruptly sounded. The sea waters flared up, and a massive demon beast rushed out of the sea. It was precisely the crying infant. The crying infant's demonic noise poured into their ears, a sound that broke the soul. Fortunately, Su Xing already used the absolute sincerity soul technique's ability, mirror without a stand, in advance, so these demonic noises could not block Su Xing's power. When the crying infant rushed out of the water, he continuously struck hand seals. The thunder and lightning suspended in the sky by a purple-colored magic cloud formed into a flower and immediately smashed towards the face of the crying infant. The blooming water divine thunder wrapped up the entire crying infant, and within a moment, the water's surface reflected the light of lightning. A powerful water thunder made the seawater boil over, and a dazzling purple thunder forced them to withdraw a meter. The crying infant continuously wailed, wanting to struggle free out of the blooming water divine thunder. How could Su Xing give it that chance? Pointing his hand seals, his divine intent rising, the blooming water divine thunder was without the slightest amount of restraint. The falling blooming water divine thunder twisted in a continuous stream at the crying infant. The sea seemingly changed into a boiling thunderbolt, the scene very terrifying, and the crying infant completely was incapable of budging. 2 copper man puppets seized the chance to unceasingly smash their heavy fists onto the crying infant's body. Several big holes were smashed out of that solid body, but this was not enough. Lin Yingmei leapt down, her fully charged Arctic star spear sweeping out a violent blizzard. The spear technique not only once again trapped the crying infant so that it was incapable of moving, but also Lin Yingmei slammed into the crying infant and stabbed into its open wounds. Every attack thrusted into its internal organs, and this could be said to be a genuine chill to the bone. The crying infant's body had several dozen bloody holes the size of bowls stabbed out of it. The crying infant, in the end, was a 6th rank prehistoric demon type. Its meandering body directly rose, and the heaven sword chopped downwards. A copper man puppet, unable to withstand the blow, was chopped in half as if it were a sheet of paper. Shi Yuan did not have any sort of distress. Raising the puppet banner, the other copper man puppet rigidly restrained the crying infant as if it were choking the thing to death. Lin Yingmei at this time leapt onto that baby-like face of the crying infant, a final spear attack piercing through it. Hiss! The crying infant's long tail swung, flinging the copper man puppet 100 meters away. This sort of Nebula stage puppet did not have any sort of exceptional material. Opposing a 6th rank demon type, it would collapse at the first blow. The crying infant spat out a black light, then it rushed and chopped at Lin Yingmei. The majestic star's figure flit by, and like it was brushing a phantom, she avoided the crying infant's counterattack. Stepping onto this giant creature's body, she stabbed her spear deeply into that face without a bit of mercy upon it. The crying infant's whole body shook, and a spirit energy gushed out and sent Lin Yingmei flying. The crying infant was just about to prepare to slash when Wu Xinjie just at this exact moment threw out more than 10 middle-grade talismans, sudden thunderclap talisman. Each talisman turned into 10 striking thunderbolts that were thick as arms. The more than a dozen talismans were just like more than 100 thunderclaps that directly struck the crying infant. A booming thunderclap sound was immensely loud, and the seawater had been blown open by a 100-meter hole. Continuously receiving injuries under this, the crying infant finally appeared to be unable to bear anymore. After receiving the more than a dozen thunderclaps, the crying infant raised its earth shield, its body hiding underneath the shield. The remaining bolts of sudden thunderclap fell onto the ancient lost treasure, completely losing their use. Shi Yuan. Wu Xinjie had already foreseen this, shouting loudly. A shadow suddenly scuttled towards the crying infant. The flea on a drum Shi Qian fully exhibited the exceptional body techniques of a robber. She zipped around on the crying infant's body at high speed, avoiding its attacks. The crying infant wanted to drive the thief star off its body, but the willy-nilly Shi Yuan simply did not fear its twisting motion. As if she were treading on level ground, in several steps, she had arrived onto the top of its head. The hoodwinking flying claws sunk deeply into the wounds that Lin Yingmei carved out beforehand. Acting as mounting points, the thief star's body moved downwards. The crying infant opened its large maw, its canine teeth intertwined, its ferocious mouth biting towards the swinging Shi Qian. Go! Shi Yuan's outstretched hand waved and threw out a pouch. Then, withdrawing the hoodwinking flying claws, when her body fell downwards, the flying claws grabbed at that pouch, tearing it apart. The heaven sword slashed horizontally at the falling Shi Yuan, but an even faster figure flit past and caught the dropping Shi Yuan, brushing past the sword tip, Su Xing. Shi Yuan giggled. Su Xing controlled the sword to soar. At this moment, he saw the crying infant let out a mournful and miserable scream. A corrosive foam had appeared on the wounds all over the crying infant's body, green smoke rolling out from its skin, from inside its mouth, from inside its eyes. The burning hisses made their hair stand on end. The bright pouch Shi Yuan threw out was the one-eyed dragon's sac that stored its acid. Possessing strong corrosive properties, even if it was a 6th-rank prehistoric demon type, if this used, most probably it would be left half alive. Handling this kind of formidable demon beast, Wu Xinjie's plan was to absolutely not let the crying infant have a chance to act. In the case they let the crying infant recover its strength, the two ancient lost treasures Heaven Sword and Earth Shield would give them extremely large inconvenience. If they wanted to again take possession of a convenience, that would be very difficult. Until now, everything had progressed very smoothly. The group acted together, closely linked with each other, suppressing the crying infant. After being drawn out of the water, the prehistoric demon type was not able to launch many menacing attacks. But, this much still was not enough. The crying infant that was filled with corroded wounds already felt the threat, preparing to abscond back to the sea. Su Xing spat out a mouthful of essence blood. In the air, the essence blood formed a vortex. In the blink of an eye, it became entirely a blue jade in color, and a water dragon revolved around the 3 prongs. It was precisely the blue water turtle dragon trident. 2. Go! Su Xing threw the blue water turtle dragon spear, the 3 prongs cutting out a graceful arc, transforming into a blue water dragon that pounced over. It bit onto the crying infant, and Su Xing hastily urged on the blue water turtle dragon trident star energy style, water dragon captures heaven, overflows the sea. The blue water turtle dragon was like an iron nail, fastening the crying infant in the sea. Then the blue light of the three prongs wildly swelled, and they saw, with the blue water turtle dragon's spear as its center, a whirlpool emerge in the sea. The whirlpool accelerated at a great speed. Finally, it seemed to suck over the entire sea, and a massive waterspout soared. Then, like a terrifying crushing machine, it unceasingly twisted apart the crying infant. Blood swirled in the air, and the blue storm had been dyed a blood-red color. The blue water turtle dragon trident originally was a water-type item. In the sea, its might was even greater. Its power was even more formidable by several factors compared to that time when the river-churning clam Tong Yao used its unique skill. This capture-kill truly was ocean-flipping and wave-overturning. The surrounding coast had been destroyed with practically nothing left. A bleak and wretched wail came from the brightest that gradually became the dimmest. When the storm subsided, the crying infant was at its last gasp. This demon beast was valiant, having yet to topple over. Lin Yingmei at this time leapt to kill it, her vitality already restored by Ensuan, using once again long blizzard nights. Generally speaking, a heavenly star's first activation of their style in a battle was the state it was strongest. The later it was used, the weaker the result. The snowstorm of the long blizzard nights this time was far from comparison with the overwhelming shock just now, but even so, the crying infant that had already been killed by Su Xing and the rest to the point it completely lacked strength now had its escape sealed. Su Xing saw an opportunity. The purple star pearl launched, and it shot into the crying infant. A serene purple light broke out from the crying infant's baby face. The pearl into a jade pendant that flew back to Su Xing's hand, and a clump of purple mist already activated. Fortunately, Wu Xinjie had already been waiting for a long time. The Heaven Sword and Earth Shield, in the hands of the crying infant were retrieved, then Shi Yuan's soul sealing bottle opened and took in the crying infant's soul. The four girls entered the star nest, and Su Xing took a final reluctant look around this void Liangshan, the scenery before him resembling a fantasy. The purple smoke dispersed, and when Su Xing took another look, the verdant forest and the boiling sea already turned into a luxurious palace. Your Majesty is indeed a talented genius, also acquiring the outlaw writ plate. Still, please use it properly. Yen Poxy's aged voice sounded out from behind him. Su Xing looked at the purple star-marked star jade pendant. The jade pendant was very light, forged of purple jade. Exploring with his divine intent, he felt this purple-colored jade pendant engraving had several tens of mysterious and powerful magic circles. With the jade in his hand, seemingly for use by heaven and earth, it was worthy of being called the purple star Great Immortal's abode writ plate of legend. This void Liangshan was very interesting. I wonder who it was that created this jade pendant and the void Liangshan. Su Xing ponderously asked. When your Majesty sets foot on Maiden Mountain, all shall be known. Yen Poxy was detached, her reply tantamount to not replying. I definitely will pay a visit to this Maiden Mountain. Su Xing stepped out of the hall without the slightest hesitation. On a hill 300 li outside of the divining star platform, at this moment, a desperate battle was being staged. More than 100 star cultivators clutched in their hands flying swords and artifacts. An indiscriminate bombing, every kind of sword light crisscrossed a flying rainbow. Ah, man of the demonic cults, die. I did not expect you of the demonic cults to be able to contract a star general. This sect definitely shall enforce justice on the behalf of heaven. Kill him. The 100-star cultivators wearing white robes spoke righteous words, setting about their task ferociously and viciously. The one being besieged was a young man, his body lanky, wearing over his body a black changpao of black gold armor. On his back was a gorgeous and flamboyant cloak, its high collar covering everything below his nose, seeming as if he was an assassin. However, his tall and straight neck, his demonic black eyes all actually brimmed with a sort of sinister charm. You pieces of trash dare come trouble this holy lord? The man professing himself to be holy lord said disdainfully. Raising his hand, his entire body sputtered a black light. Several dozen pitch-black like ink flying swords floated in the air and formed a sword array. Use your living spirits to come feed this holy lord's 9 phantasms 10 banes capital demon sword. 3. The sword turned into demonic light, seemingly like an evil spirit, a baleful aura surging forward. Ah, it's an ancient demon sword. Quickly run, ah. Galaxy Cultivator. When the man's demon sword appeared, all the star cultivators present were scared pale, controlling their swords to escape. The specters overlapped like a black curtain pulled open and captured all the star cultivators, not a single one able to escape. In less than a moment, the flesh of the star cultivators had been eaten with nothing left, leaving only a white robes all over the ground. Holy Lord, you shall cause the other great sects to chase to kill like this. A beautiful and colorful woman looked around, her good looks unexpectedly simultaneously possessed an alluring and noble temperament, the two kinds entirely different. Xiangfei, you really do love worrying about those trash cultivators. Another silhouette emerged. Wearing a black dragon armor skirt, carrying a black star demon crown, her eyes like a deep black, her lips like red paint, a girl gloomily sneered. The black-robed man laughed out loud, walking upwards with great strides. That Xiangfei's carved dragon sword at this moment uprightly supported the bodies of a man and woman on it. The man's face was already colorless, and the girl was silent, ice-cold and unbending. The black wind beheading Will Saber. 5. So it's actually little sister detective star green-eyed tiger Li Yun. 6. The black dragon armor skirt girl smiled evilly. Just relying on you two, you unexpectedly had the idea to fight this holy lord? The man clicked his tongue, the demon sword's black shadow wrapping the two people. Didn't expect to be able to run into a star master that signed 2 sisters. Li Yun dies contentedly. 7. The girl opened her mouth. The man laughed aloud, raising his head to look at the heavens, a magnanimous appearance. Count yourselves as having good fortune. This holy lord currently wants to go to the divining star platform to inquire about the outlaw writ. And, if this holy lord killed you, the birth outline would then begin. This holy lord certainly does not want to have any missed opportunities. Today, you both shall be let off. The man in front of the not killing them made the detective star green-eyed tiger and her master go blank. The glamorous and alluring girl recalled her weapon, walking back to the man's side. Inform the Azure Dragon Territory star generals, these star duels belong to this holy lord. Let them ponder hereafter that point. The man arrogantly said. His eyes suddenly shot a black chi, and the black chi was just like a winding silk of evil chi that shrouded his counterpart. Exposed black threads immediately crawled up the face of the detective star's master, his eyes rolled into his head, and his expression was pained to death. He cried a blood-curdling scream as he frothed at the mouth. You! The detective star Li Yun's face was pale, her 5 fingers clenched tightly, taking up her destined star weapon Black Wind beheading Will Saber to execute/him. Only one chance to live was given to you, so properly treasure it. The black dragon armor skirt wearing gloomy girl said. Her gloves were strange, dark silver gauntlets. Demonic marks were engraved on her armor, her 10 fingertips acutely slender. Dispersing a black chi that was even sharper than a razor, it directly grabbed the destined star weapon of green-eyed tiger Li Yun and put it into her own hands. This is, not letting Li Yun finish, the girl sent her flying with her own weapon. Humph. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon waved a hand. He did not place this opponent in his eyes as he controlled his sword to fly to the divining star platform. Master! The girl anxiously ran over, regardless of the injuries on her body. The star crest's flickering let her calm down with much difficulty. That Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was extremely vicious. Although he let them go, he planted a frightening seed in her master's ocean of consciousness. Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, 2 star generals. Humph. The detective star green-eyed tiger gnashed her teeth. Are you someone from a demonic sect? I'll show you. Su Xing stepped off the divining star platform. Looking at the sky, he felt the same as Zhao Hanyan. He seemed to have stayed in the void Liangshan for a long time, yet the final star that would start the birth outline had not fallen. The birth outline is the star duel's most crucial part. I am afraid the final star will take some time. Wu Xinjie surmised that even if a few star generals did not fear battle, they would not openly kill. That's fine, too. Should I elevate my cultivation to galaxy stage or not? Su Xing muttered. Galaxy stage would allow him to practice sword art abilities. This indeed was a super powerful type of sword art, more useful than artifacts and magic weapons. However, this sword art mostly was cultivated by schools. Although each school had one and many, had high and low, a few basic grade sword arts and such, Su Xing definitely would not go waste this vital time to practice that. In addition, a few supreme grade sword arts the likes of Zhao Hanyan's 72 Outer Void Deity's sword could not be voluntarily imparted by sections. Su Xing could not create one anyways. Although he had this type of immemorial sword art, the Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements sword, this simply could not be trained, or should he let Shi Yuan play a trick to go steal one? Just as he thought this, the sky suddenly erupted with a screaming dragon cry. Su Xing raised his head, and the moment he looked, his heart jumped. He saw a sinister and fiendish dense shadow fly over. That person was draped in a black robe, wearing black armor, his entire body dispersing a strange, demonic charm. Even though they were separated by a great distance, there was still a kind of dreadful oppressiveness. This was still the first time Su Xing sensed a trace of pressure, one different from a supercluster cultivators. This sort of pressure came across as very strange and abrupt. In the blink of an eye, that person descended. Su Xing stared for a bit. This man's cultivation unexpectedly was Galaxy Middle Stage, and being able to enter the Divining Star platform proved he was a Star Master. A Galaxy Middle Stage Star Master. Su Xing clicked his tongue. This cultivation was too incredible. Compared to Zhao Hanyan, he was a cut above her. Could it be another person nurtured by some sect or royal family? Humph. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon disdainfully glanced at Su Xing, then walked towards the Divining Star platform. Su Xing took note that the path he chose astonishingly was the Purple Star Great Outlaw Rit. This Star Master is exceptional. Su Xing said. 3 years and he unexpectedly reached Galaxy Middle Stage. Perhaps he practiced some demonic martial art. Seeing that thick, baleful aura, he certainly is someone from a demonic sect. Wu Xinjie hypothesized. A demonic sect. Because of its strange and evil training methods and orders, the Azure Dragon territory bitterly detested it. Currently, the demonic sects in the Azure Dragon territory were all small schools concealed in the corners. Few people, particularly Star Masters, would appear with a swagger. The demonic sects seemed to be extremely prosperous in the Black Turtle territory, with 1 great demon's castle, 4 great demon's cults. The Black Turtle demonic ancestor, 2, among the demon's castle and the Taishu immortal, 3, of the clear void Taoists, were called Liangshan continent's 2 great opposing representatives. They both were legendary transforming Star of Annihilation stage star cultivators. Because what the demonic sects paid particular attention to was cruel and vicious, their progress was fast, so star generals signing a contract with a person from a demonic sect was not strange. With regards to star generals, regardless of the right way of justice and austerity or the sinister, hair-raising evil way, both each were only one type of tool to attain victory. But he is noteworthy. Choosing the purple star grade, his background isn't small. Su Xing talked to himself. A petite figure that walked off the divining star platform was reflected in Su Xing's eyes. Big brother Su Xing. Han Yu saw Su Xing as he stepped off, a smile across his face as he cheerfully ran up. The 7 or 8-year-old little lowly savage star Bao Xiaoyu was hesitant as she walked over. Have you guys obtained the outlaw writ? Su Xing grinned and asked. Thanks to Big Brother, Xiaoyu obtained it. Han Yu smiled. Thank me for what? Because you gave Yu's an astral bag. Inside were a few items that were very useful for Master. Bao Xiaoyu's voice was tender and lovely. Why are you so good to us? Are you not a star master? Xiaoyu blinked her eyes, appearing perplexed. You can just think of me as an alternative to this world's rules. Su Xing did not want to give any greater explanation. Bao Xiaoyu seemed to understand yet not understand. In brief, you and elder sister are both good. What are you two preparing for next? Su Xing somewhat worriedly asked. Although Bao Xiaoyu could be said to be the god of death savage star, any way she was looked at right now, she was just a 7 or 8-year-old prepubescent. The children who had not yet reached 10 years old formed a star master lineup that, needless to say, Su Xing had never seen. This was even the first time Wu Xinjie heard of such a thing. I want to help Master find his father and mother. Bao Xiaoyu said. Look for his parents. Su Xing stared blankly. Having obtained the earthly fiend writ plate, we will first establish an immortal's abode. If we encounter something dangerous, we can now conceal ourselves. As long as we are careful, other people shall not doubt our identities. Bao Xiaoyu then said. It would appear that a plan had already been properly arranged. Su Xing also did not have a problem with that, in brief, calling for them to be careful. He had Ensuan gift them a few pills and talismans. Before she departed, Bao Xiaoyu turned her head, hesitating again and again. Nevertheless, she stepped forward and said, Su Xing, you appear to be a very good star master. Perhaps Sister Zhen, 5, will like you. Sister Zhen is someone Xiaoyu ran into when we came to Grand Com Prefecture's 6, stone tablet. She is a very good sister. Not only did she save Xiaoyu, she even helped Xiaoyu advance Xiaoyu's sword to 1 star. She is currently at Stone Tablet City recruiting for a star master. Perhaps you two are compatible. Xiaoyu earnestly said. Xiaoyu does not want Sister Zhen to be contracted with those detestable people. I'll remember that. Do you want to go together with me to take a look? Su Xing asked. No. The time to search with Master cannot be delayed. Until, in the future I will, Bao Xiaoyu wanted to say something, hesitantly withdrawing her words. Then that's good. Watch out for yourself. The Su Xing whose sister complex illness had flared up helplessly said. Taking several steps, Bao Xiaoyu remembered something, turning around and warning, Sister Zhen's outward appearance is seemingly very cold, but at heart, she truly is a good person. You cannot hurt her. Her explanation finished, Bao Xiaoyu and Han Yu departed his line of sight. Su Xing sighed. Wu Xinjie just smiled at his truly exerted effort on any method to entice Bao Xiaoyuan to journey together with him. How do you see that Sister Zhen that Xiaoyu spoke of? Su Xing inquired for the opinions of the beauties present. What Bao Xiaoyu said was really thought-provoking. As a star general, saving the savage star and even helping her advance her star weapon to 1 star actually was slightly beyond expectations. It sounded as if there was really an elder sister taking care of her younger sister. Su Xing was very curious. Since young master is interested, going to take a look is good. Wu Xinjie said, the birth outline seems to need more time. Xinjie is also very curious as to just who this little sister is that is this enthusiastic as well as publicly recruiting for a master. The knowledge star still had another plan, that was that she vaguely felt Su Xing seemingly shattered the regulations of Liangshan's star duels. Seizing the chance, she wondered if he could sign a 5th star general. If he really did sign, this star duel would be in their control. Com Prefecture is on the border of the Great Liang and the covering Cloud Empire, 7, and that's actually a bit far. Wu Xinjie thought it over, and what do you little sisters think? This young lady approves with both hands, Ha, ha. Hearing the savage star's introduction, this young lady is very interested. Such a good sister, sure Yuan really has never thought of one before. Sure Yuan giggled. And Suan nodded, answering. Lin Yingmei smiled at everything master decided. There was no time to lose. Su Xing urged on the wind-swayed raft and flew in the direction of Calm Prefecture. Divining Star Platform Purple Star Main Hall. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon boldly walked into the hall, his posture even arrogant as he looked at Yen Poxy. This star duel truly is unlike those before. Yet another wants to obtain the Purple Star Jade Pendant. That is what you are also planning, correct? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's baleful aura from head to toe made Yen Poxy lift her eyelids this time, that aged expression seemingly storing a great many a story. This Holy Lord is not the first to come obtain the Purple Star Writ. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was engrossed. How many additional Star Masters were there before me? 3. 3. Not many then. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon nodded. Have they all perished? They all obtained the Purple Star Jade Pendant. Yen Poxy replied, unmoved. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's smile froze in a split second at the corner of his mouth. They all obtained it. Interesting. It appears the Azure Dragon territory still has interesting Star Masters. Truly interesting. He could not help but recall the youth he saw just now at the Divining Star platform. It seemed that mediocre youth actually obtained the Purple Star Writ. Indeed was pitiful. Not being able to fight a Star Master that obtained a Purple Star Writ really was regretful. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon frowned. Have you thought over this? Yen Poxy asked. You have only once chance. Do not bring out this sort of one-time chance to scare this Holy Lord. Since 3 people have obtained it, how would this Holy Lord be afraid? What a jest. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered. When the Purple Star Pearl appeared, he grasped it in his hand. Purple smoke dispersed. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the main hall. This time Star Masters apparently all are interesting. A charming voice suddenly sounded out from Yen Poxy's throat, completely in contrast to her previous aged and hoarse intonation. Anyone that heard this voice practically would believe it was a beauty. Song Jiang, this time, you certainly must not disappoint your servant. You, the incompetent leader star, should be a bit more interesting by now. Yen Poxy muttered to herself, revealing a smirk. Calm Prefecture belonged to the Great Liang's dynasty border prefecture. Overlooking the precipice mountain of the Sea of Clouds, 2, that was near the Cloud Cover Empire, 3, the precipice mountain of the Sea of Clouds was one of Liangshan continent's largest mountains. The borderless grasslands extended 10 million li, and every windy season, appeared to be a rolling sea of clouds. The scent of the cloud aromatic herb even floated into Calm Prefecture's 10 towns, thus giving it the name. In addition, beyond the plains at the ends of the precipice mountain was the extremely remote and timeless White Tiger territory. The Cloud Cover Empire used to be more than 100 nomadic tribes, fighting hand to hand incessantly year in, year out, continuously in a state of division. Due to a leader that appeared in the flourishing Orchid clan, 5, there were changes. He carried out countless campaigns, allying the 100,000 tribes to form the Cloud Cover Empire. Since then, there was fear of the iron hoof of the oppressor at Liangshan. Due to frequent raids by scattered bandits, as a result, the several prefectures, counties and towns at the precipice mountain of the Sea of Clouds were guarded by fierce troops. Stone tablet cities, 6, walls had been built to several tens of zhang high, the city towers inside the clouds, appearing to be fierce teeth. From the high altitudes overlooking this city's imposing vastness, it was just like a crawling giant creature. Because the 4 sides were all connected, Stone Tablet City was also exceptionally prosperous. With the flourishing orchid in the western regions, the barbarians in the northern borders saw visitors from all over. After 7 days, Su Xing arrived at Stone Tablet City. He did not conceal his appearance at all, and with the type of fenced-off frontier area Calm Prefecture was, news of star cultivator sects in the middle of the plains was very difficult to be transmitted here. Even if it was passed on to here, this place's sects were sparse and harmless. Lin Yingmei and the rest were not hiding within the star nest, confidently following to the left and right of Su Xing, making him out to be an influential family's son going on a tour. With maids that were like clouds in appearance, those other star cultivators would not doubt these 4-star generals were attendants serving him. At this time, Su Xing's group stood at Stone Tablet City's center plaza under an immense stele. The stele's height reached 3 zhang. It was created from Precipice Mountain's dirt, engraved with the 10 words of, vast vital energy exists, the stone tablet suppresses supernatural beings, 7, each word nearly half the size of a person, the stroke intent ancient and inelegant, the strokes themselves powerful and forceful, straight and winding, an unexpectedly direct power whistling under the blue dome of heaven. It was nothing special at first glance, but after a moment of attentive examination, suddenly one would feel dizzy, the whole person unexpectedly could not help but take a step backwards, making Su Xing unable to help exclaim in surprise, such a despotic imposing manner. 10 years before, cloud cover empires in the Vermilion Bird territories Ghoul, 8, clans colluded to refine tens of thousands of demon cavalry, 9, and divine generals, 10, that directly entered Liangshan, attacking the 7 prefectures and 100 cities. Liang Huizong himself led a campaign and met the enemy head-on, breaking the enemy 1,000 li to this stone-steel city. They say that some remaining demon cavalry and divine generals are suppressed underneath this stone tablet. 99 demons suppressing seals have been added onto it. Henceforth the steel suppressing border, 11, the cloud covers evil monsters do not dare approach anymore. Wu Xingjia had just opened her mouth to explain when a voice that sounded as if it had been through a lot stole her discussion. The group turned and saw a gray elderly man. Wearing a great Liang Emperor's brocade, his star energy deep and resounding, it unexpectedly was a galaxy middle stage cultivator from the great Liang dynasty's court. This one beneath you is Jiang Yundao, 12, respectfully presenting the assigned guard to the devil-suppressing stone tablet. 13. Is this the first time all of you have come to Stone Tablet City? Jiang Yundao magnanimously smiled. This one beneath you is Yun Yuzi, 14, to be polite. Su Xing bowed as he held his hands in front of him. As senior says, this happens to be the first time we have come to the stone tablet. Fellow certainly must by all means not harbor thoughts of striking this devil-sealing steel. Jiang Yundao's tone was severe, his eyes flashing radiantly, a powerful imposing air rushing out and pressing towards Su Xing. Su Xing smiled, senior misunderstands. On Emperor Liang's treasures, how could this youth dare to have nosy intentions? Jiang Yundao's eyelids jumped. Seeing a Nebula cultivator unexpectedly not change under his imposing manner, he could not help but take notice of the seemingly distinguished Su Xing. He relaxed his pressure, stroking his beard with a pleasant countenance. This Taoist is too worried. Please do not take offense, fellow. Could it be said there are those with the idea to strike the stone tablet? Su Xing asked. It is hard to fathom a person's mind. Jiang Yundao lightly smiled. The Heavenly Prosperity Establishment of Stone Tablet City's eastern area recently has a heavenly star recruiting a master. This fellow's appearance is out of the ordinary, your beauty's like clouds. You actually could go take a look. Even this Jiang Yundao knew, so Su Xing then asked, interested, about this matter of a star general recruiting a master. Perhaps he previously thought he had wrongly gauged Su Xing. That Jiang Yundao would use this as recompense entirely overturned his appraisal. Half a year ago, the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment at Stone Tablet City opened its doors for business. Originally, this was not considered anything big. At Stone Tablet City, there were countless restaurants, tea houses and institutions conducting business every day, but on the second day, the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment's owner, 16, just suddenly issued grand word, Heavenly Star recruiting a master. The Heavenly Prosperity establishment prepared trials, and as long as one could stand on the platform at the end, a Heavenly Star General would be willing to offer herself to the Master, signing a Star Dual Covenant. This news immediately exploded in Stone Tablet City, and everyone was discussing this matter. 36 Heavenly Spirit Star Generals. No one was unaware of the Liangshan continent's star duels, and signing a contract with a Star General was like walking in the clear sky. A few earthly stars ordinarily were heavenly dragons with their heads seen but their tails unseen, 17, in sight but unattainable. A grand heavenly star publicly recruiting a master in the Azure Dragon territory was rarely seen. In a moment, Calm Prefecture, Jasper Prefecture, 18, Heart Prefecture, 19, and even the Cloud Cover Empire all had been startled. Star cultivators that were attracted here jumped in eagerly, and 3 days scarcely had passed since the proclamation when the Heavenly Prosperity establishment's customers became the most in Stone Tablet. However, this Heavenly Star Master recruitment's trial of language passes 3 checkpoints, military slays 6 generals, was considered harsh. The qualification to enter the door first of all required participation in a solo lifting of 2,000 gene, 20, copper lions. Afterwards, the party was entitled to enter passes 3 checkpoints and slays 6 generals. Some people began to doubt whether or not the owner was deliberately playing to the gallery. However, she continuously made solemn guarantees that 7 candidates were assembled, they would begin. The others had nothing to say, but half a year since, only 6 candidates had been assembled, and along with the passage of time, the Star Cultivators' enthusiasm began to ebb. Yet the time those nobles stayed at the Heavenly Prosperity establishment let them linger, their vitality actually exceedingly flourishing. What if there continues to be no 7th? Then it will continue to never begin. Su Xing could not help but ask. However, the Great Liang is a galaxy of talent. It is unlikely to go as far as not being able to gather the 7. Jiang Yundao shook his head. It is just that Stone Tablet City's position is remote. The Central Plains Great Sect, 21, actually seldom comes, but this cannot be helped. People do not dare make sense of a heavenly star's conditions. Do you know which heavenly star? Wu Xinjie asked. This is not clear. She will not appear before the final juncture, and it is said that Heavenly Star is scrutinizing from the dark. Although Jiang Yundao said as such, his eyes nevertheless revealed a trace of disdain. Perhaps he felt this only was a trick the Heavenly Prosperity establishment's owner arranged to raise the popularity of the restaurants, and that was why only when there were 7 candidates would there be a final choice. As for the true time everything was assembled, what about it? This owner should have a way out in actuality. The Heavenly Prosperity establishment indeed is considered top quality in this city, and shopkeeper Li Shishi, 22, also is a beautiful woman that is hard to come by. Even if you do not choose to go to the master recruitment, the Heavenly Prosperity establishment's name was poetic, the musical instruments handsomely danced, and the young women serving wine are top quality. Jiang Yundao's eyes narrowed as he spoke. He did not go there only just a few times. 23, Li Shishi. Su Xing looked pensively, glancing at the girls. This one beneath you shall go look at this Heavenly Prosperity establishment. The Heavenly Prosperity restaurant stood in great numbers, layer upon layer. The decor of engraved railings and painted pillars was gorgeous. Even if one was far away on the street, tilt one's head and the sounds of bustling activity could be heard. Su Xing and Wu Xinjie and the rest entered the restaurant, directly feeling a lively mood. The restaurant's interior was very large, with more than 100 tabled, and among them 2 copper lions were located in the center of 2 red ladders, grand and majestic. It gave the restaurant an additional peculiar atmosphere. When Su Xing entered, he received every sort of attentive gaze. Bringing 4 beautiful maidens would simply not be able to prevent people from thinking of them, seeing as Su Xing was very ordinary. These people did not mind, and Su Xing asked for a seat, chose a few dishes, not at all an impatient participating star cultivator, but someone who stayed at the side, first conducting a stakeout. He saw a man of a tough and stocky build currently use both hands to move the copper lion, a bare upper body, his veins exposed, his teeth grit tightly. A group of customers cheered and yelled, some encouraging, others sneering. Just a little bit more, then it passes 3 checkpoints and slays 6 generals. Bring out a man's spirit. Better give up. Even if you of the Mad Bear School, 24, rely on brute strength to move the copper lions, you can't pass the checkpoint, don't invite this disgrace upon yourself. Exactly, I heard the current dynasty's 4 highnesses, 25, already been selected. Don't think of yourself as the toad that eats swan meat. The man roared loudly, raising both hands. He finally barely propped up the 1,000 copper lions, his brute force out of the ordinary. However, the established rule was to raise it above the head, supporting it for 10 seconds. This could be only accomplished with a cultivation of Nebula stage at the minimum. The big man yelled loudly, and the copper lions fell to the ground, giving up dejectedly. The other customers laughed uproariously, one after another applauding. The owner that opened this restaurant truly can meticulously plan and carefully account, creating such a free show, no wonder business is so good. Sure, Yuan twitched her lip. That sister of ours is also very smart. Wu Xinjie smiled. Does Sister Xinjie believe there truly is this matter of a heavenly star recruiting a master? And Suan asked, her expression suspicious. She felt a star general publicly recruiting a master was too bold. There should be. Star cultivators willing to contract with a star general do not have robust backgrounds, but have significant backgrounds. If strenuous effort and meticulous care are the final result, that is only a ridiculous buffoon, and I fear this heavenly prosperity establishment will be torn down. Wu Xinjie explained. The girls looked pensively. Putting it like this indeed was so. You all certainly must by all means not underestimate this public recruitment for a master. First of all, the copper lions restrict the star cultivator's cultivation. This guarantees that a chosen person's qualification are not too low. Secondly, the passes through 3 checkpoints. Slaying 6 generals is to make the star cultivator's train of thought gush. Does military force pin heaven and earth? Although it can be said this checkpoint can let chamberlains be substitutes, if chamberlains have peerless literary talent on hand, it indicates where the star cultivator is exceptional. So this public recruitment for a master is indeed from a talented little sister, truly talented. Could it be she does not fear attracting other sects? Su Xing asked. Ever since the demonic sect was extinguished, 26, large schools that seized the opportunity to force contracts became very few. In addition, Stone Tablet City is also on the frontier. There is no need to worry too much. Language passes 3 checkpoints, military slays 6 generals. Little sisters, certainly you know which sister has such a refined and elegant attitude of mind? Wu Xinjie asked. The group all shook their heads, setting up so complicated was rare. This young lady sees this simply is not a heavenly star, only some earthly star pretending to put up a sign, a scam. Sure, Yuan sourly said. Her guess also had much reason. Heavenly stars were far more noticeable compared to earthly stars. Given any heavenly star, every large sect would all squabble for her. At that time, sects chose for themselves anyways. Setting things up to be this complicated, it was an earthly star's style. The knowledge star smiled but did not speak. Young master, do you plan to try it out? Su Xing was just about to reply, when suddenly he heard the restaurant erupt with fanatical applause. Turning his head to look, he saw the 2 copper lions already high up floating in the air. The 1,000 copper lions were on that youth's left and right. The center of his hands released star energy, and the 2 lions were played around in his hands like balloons. His cultivation had reached Nebula early stage. Master Qing's cultivation has greatly increased in half a year, truly a talented genius. Amazing. Everyone cheered all at once, their praising voices up here and down there. This Master Qing's reputation really was not small. The youth slightly smiled and firmly set the copper lions on the ground. He cupped his fist, and a maid led him to the second floor. At this time, Su Xing knew he could not hesitate any longer. Rising, he walked to the copper lions, 4 beautiful lotuses elegantly following him. The 100 guests that were discussing the youth stopped their conversations, indefinitely bewildered as they stared at Su Xing, particularly at the 4 outstanding beauties Lin Yingmei and the rest, and their eyes straightened. The maid and that youth also turned their heads. Who is this hedonistic brat? Never seen him before. An unfamiliar face. Perhaps he is on a scenic tour. He looks that weak to stand up to the wind, yet he wants to go move the copper lions. Wah, those 4 beautiful girls, this brat truly has luck with women. Ha, ha. Seeing his weak complexion, he must have weak kidneys from the lustful nights he has every night. Unexpectedly wanting to move the copper lion, that hedonistic brat is just overestimating his abilities. The majority of the customers inside the restaurant were from powerful and influential families, not only within Stone Table City, but they held a great reputation in even the entire Com prefecture. The complex influences of the nearby prefectures were fairly clear, yet this unfamiliar face of Su Xing's had never been seen before. Subconsciously, they felt he had rushed over from the Central Plains. The Emperor high in heaven was far away, and the powerful dragon could not pressure the local bully. Also seeing Su Xing and his 4 beauties hold each other, jealous moods of every kind for a moment made everyone mock and ridicule Su Xing. Does this young master have any orders? The maid asked. Su Xing did not waste his breath speaking. His finger lightly forming a hook, star energy shot out. The 2 copper lions were played around in his hand completely without suspense, and launching it, the copper lions turned into flashes of light. They suddenly were reduced in size by several times, turning into a single decoration only several inches in size that fell into Su Xing's hand. It was an object shrinking art. The whole audience was absolutely silent, dumbstruck. Shrinking object arts were specially cultivated arts for star cultivators. This was not strange. However, what Su Xing used could be said to be wonderful to the hair of the summit. Ordinary star cultivators' object shrinking required long times to refine, and the resizing must guarantee that the object's quintessence was not lost, and something like the copper lions were even more magic energy demanding. It was hard to imagine the resizing would go smoothly without 2 or 3 days. Su Xing merely used a martial art in the blink of an eye, and the copper lions turned into a toy in his hand, which could be considered to have scared this group of powerful nobles. Su Xing threw the copper lion, and the lion grew back to its original size. The maid was astonished. May I pass through? Su Xing asked. Only star cultivators that have conducted a star duel qualify. Are you one? Qin Xiaoyu, too, sneered. The blankly staring guests just slapped their thighs, having suddenly seen the light. Seeing Su Xing control his star energy so perfectly, this simply could not be done with 4 or 5 years of effort. 3, and Su Xing's cultivation was not shallow. At once, they believed that he already had trained for a very long time, and each and every one revealed so it turned out to be this, expression of contempt, at last comforting themselves. Of course I am. How do you test this? Su Xing flatly asked. You sure can talk big, careful you don't pull your tongue. Daring to proclaim yourself to be a star cultivator that went through a star duel, you've got thick skin, huh? Do you think you're a genius? Let's see how the heavenly star fixes him up. They continued to jeer at him. Lin Yingmei coldly swept her gaze over them, her eyes like lightning, a penetrating cold. The air temperature of the heavenly prosperity establishment's fiery lounge immediately plummeted to 0, and it was the tall and sturdy man who was frozen to the point his teeth chattered, looking at Lin Yingmei filled with fright. This time, everyone was considered to have been silenced. Please, young master, quell your anger. This slave servant shall immediately go make a report. The maid promptly said Su Xing hinted to Lin Yingmei, and the girl lowered her chilliness. Subsequently, everyone sitting before them at a table drank their wine, and everyone hid far away, looking at each other in dismay. Their eyes showed restrained fear of the consequences, thinking, could this youth be a star master from legend that came for a star duel? A moment later. Upstairs, the fragrant muslin was separated, and colorful flowers danced in the breeze. Everyone's gaze had been attracted, and seeing a golden lotus phoenix hairstyle, colorful and bright beauty step down, her great beauty was full displayed. The people below sighed. This was Li Shishi. Su Xing was unconvinced. I, your servant, am Li Shishi, shopkeeper of the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment. I have heard there is a young master that can resize the copper lions at will. Li Shishi softly smiled. This one beneath you is Yun Yuzi. That made little Yi walked out, her eyes indifferent. The lounge resumed its quiet. The first checkpoint of language passes through 3 checkpoints was called, taking apart the white orbit character. 7. Take a character, tear it into 2 characters and speak them out in a sentence. For example, so stuffy. 8. Can be taken apart into, you have only ever been with your woman who has a child by her side. How do you know I'm searching for my heart in my door? 9. Su Xing was a complete layman at this. Fortunately, this checkpoint of literary talent allowed a chamberlain to take the role of answering. Thus, Wu Xinjie stepped forward. Asking worries. 10. Little Yi spat out the first subject of the first checkpoint, taking apart the white orbit word, hiding in the door as you open your mouth to speak is proof lacking. Clear under autumn is the heart's feeling. 11. Qin Xiaoyu blurted out the first thing he thought of. Good, incredible. Worthy of being called a genius, he doesn't even need to think. Everyone applauded. Wu Xinjie pursed her lips, concealing her disdain, her clear voice. Inside the door there is a mouth, yet it has difficulty speaking. In autumn, it is oversensitivity you are clearly seeing. 12. The knowledge star was also able and knowledgeable. She easily issued a response. 13. Everyone present went blank. Their favorite had just stepped up, and he once again was suppressed. The first checkpoint is merely an appetizer. The second checkpoint definitely will not be that simple. Qin Xiaoyu's voice sunk. The second checkpoint was word relay. 14. It was also a game that was most popular with scholars at the moment. The last word of a sentence had to be used as the first word of the following sentence. Heartbroken people write heartbroken words. Those without lovers write love poems. 16. Little E proceeded to say, you may choose one, the format must be identical. Qin Xiaoyu thought for a while, then spoke at length. Heartbroken people write heartbroken words, words written about the heart's matters in the end cannot help itself pondering the past's sincere aspirations truly there were in love with who it seems I am that person. 17. Pretty good. This time, even Su Xing nodded. The kind of thing of a word relay sounded to be an excessive headache. His continuations actually were purely aesthetic. Young master, this star general actually is indeed odd. Arranging such a simple language passes 3 checkpoints. Wu Xinjie smiled at Su Xing, clearly saying without the slightest hesitation, those without lovers write love poems, poems inside conceal emotional words, words and irregular pearls penetrate thinking up until now this night the hopeful monarch knows of recalling past events resembling the monarch's homecoming time. Good. Su Xing could not help but voice his praise. Sister Xinjie indeed has talent. And Suan exclaimed in admiration. Sounds very profound. The thief star tweaked her ears and scratched her cheeks. She felt there was nothing left for this knowledge star to do, making things this complicated. Lin Yingmei also showed an appreciative expression. Those nobles and ladies present each were dumbstruck. Little Yi's face was still expressionless. The third checkpoint, absolute for all eternity. 18. This time, you will say 10 antithetical couplets, following in response to this slave servant. Should you be able to outmatch this slave servant or utter a fine couplet, that will count as a pass. With regards to antithetical couplets, these customers that were present were far too familiar, nearly ad nauseum. The moment they opened their mouths, a small restaurant maid also did not pay attention. Qin Xiaoyu started as before. First of all was a strange couplet, scholars and peasants, do re mi fa sol. 19. The first couplet portion had two parts, the four classes of ancient China, 20, and do re mi fa sol. 21. The former four were professions, the latter five were sounds, and one word was repeated. One word was a homophone. 22. Everyone loudly cried, wonderful. Little E pondered slightly, then replied, cold warming and warm cooling, temperate, kind, courteous, restrained and magnanimous. 23. The former, cold warming and warm cooling, was the four apprehensions, and temperate, kind, courteous, restrained and magnanimous were the 5 kinds of morality of the Confucian gentleman. 24. Unexpectedly, she was not fussy. Qin Xiaoyu went blank, not expecting her to respond this quickly. He continued speaking, a water fairy grasps a jasper hairpin, slowly blowing out a sound in front of the wind. 25. Once again, it was a wonderful couplet, entirely following famous words. Expecting beauties to wear red embroidered shoes, at moonset come delicate steps. 26. Little E calmly replied. Qin Xiaoyu's expression changed, flaunting hair draped over the shoulders and holding a mighty sword, where is the immortal Buddha's ear? 27. Having a method to vanquish dragons and tigers, turtles and snakes in the clouds. 28. The following few couplets were also ingenious, mysterious, but that little E truly was formidable, easily responding. After 10 sets, Qin Xiaoyu himself was rendered stupid. He unexpectedly had difficulties defeating a maid. Everyone once again all assembled their gazes on Wu Xinjie. Wu Xinjie had a fair standard on creating responses. She racked her brains recalling couplets she had seen before in an ancient book, then said, 2 boats side by side, the scull is not as fast as the sail. The scull's speed hinted at Lu Su, the sail's swiftness at Fan Kuai. These two both were outstanding and famous generals several dynasties ago. The person's name and the object's name were overlapping homophones, which could be said to be clever. The whole audience cried, good. The maid's tone was very indifferent, the 8 instruments all together play music, the clear flute, low and young official, is hard to compare to pan pipes, Xiao He. Young master, sisters, let's see yours. Wu Xinjie helplessly surrendered. Lin Yingmei said one, like dreams, like fantasy. Like bubbles, like shadows. Like revealed, like lightning. Do not increase and do not decrease. Do not birth and do not die. Do not dirty and do not clean, and Suan thought for a moment, then also said, inside the fortunate morning, for the time being go easy. 2. The maid was apathetic. This important couplet did not baffle her, how can one help this matter, you must wait to return. 3. The efficacious star was also defeated in a flash. The thief star Shi Yuan was no longer confident, but she remembered a couplet she once saw inside a tomb. She opened her mouth and shouted, 1 mind and 2 tasks and 3 obediences and 4 virtues, 5 winters and 6 summers, 6, and 7 up and 8 down, 7, 9 descendants and 10 ancestors, 8, 100 households and 1,000 fingers, 9, 10,000 deaths will not stop me. 10. This couplet completely was formed following numerical idioms. From 1 to 10,000, this talked about a loitering married woman scared on the edge every moment of her life until finally she was utterly isolated and had been hounded to death. This could be considered an amazing couplet. Whatever material Little E thought about for a bit, she unexpectedly actually made a response. 11. The shopkeeper is indeed outstanding, for a maid in her employ to be this incredible. Everyone admired her. Any more? Little E asked, seemingly very interested. Wu Xinjie gazed at her sisters, already out of ammunition and no food left. Little E nodded. Just as she was about to return to Li Shishir's side, suddenly, she heard a voice speak. This one beneath you has an absolute for all eternity. I wonder if you can respond. Su Xing's eyes lit up, lightly smiling as he spoke. Absolute for all eternity. You can come up with an absolute for all eternity? Big talk. What a joke. She let a maid go respond to couplets. Unexpectedly, he thinks he can come up with an absolute for all eternity. The hedonistic brat surely is a hedonistic brat, how arrogant. Everyone present made a racket. All those present were from literary families, conceited with great talent. Suddenly hearing the silent Su Xing say these grand words of absolute for all eternity, after hearing the maid throw out every kind of high difficulty couplets, at once, those that felt they had been insulted loudly jeered. Please speak. Little E showed a bit of interest. Young master. Wu Xinjie was slightly worried. Su Xing laughed, unconcerned. In terms of literary talent, he certainly could not be compared to the learned guests present, but saying an absolute for all eternity, Su Xing actually thought of such a thing. When he was on Earth in the past, there was such an absolute through eternity that up until now, no one had perfectly replied to. Thus, he did not believe the maid before him could reply. The couplet that could make Su Xing this self-confident was exactly, Willow Pond locked in smoke. 12. Uttering this couplet, a few novice literati jeered, it sounds very simple. Merely this. However, they immediately discovered the entire heavenly prosperity establishment had fell into a sort of frightening, deathly silence. Somewhat erudite scholars revealed shocked expressions. After seeing that Qin Xiaoyu thinking a bit, they looked at Su Xing, dumbstruck. Even little E was shaken. Willow Pond locked in smoke, is it very difficult? Shi Yuan saw their shocked expressions as funny. Wu Xinjie thought this over a second time and immediately smiled. This couplet of young master truly is absolute for all eternity. How? The knowledge star the explained. Willow Pond locked in smoke appeared to be very simple, but it was actually very profound. The 5 words were formed from the 5 radicals of metal, wood, water, fire and earth. 13. In addition, these 5 words formed from the radicals had an extremely artistic mood. How could this kind of couplet be easily responded to? 14. Shi Yuan and the rest pondered briefly, then they also jumped in shock. To respond to this kind of excellently artistic couplet indeed was not too possible. Big brother, so amazing. And Suan covered her mouth, exclaiming in admiration. He always was this kind of surprising person. Shi Yuan very quickly recovered, saying so proudly. The maid Little pondered, wrinkling her brow deeply as she reflected for a long while. That pair of apathetic red eyes gazed at Su Xing, filled with bewilderment and were at a loss. Su Xing calmly drank his tea amidst this chaos, not caring for their shock. Who was he kidding? He actually hoped for someone to respond to this kind of genuine absolute for all eternity in order to let him broaden his horizons. Your distinguished self, the sage presents as an ordinary person. Xiaoyu does admire. Qin Xiaoyu cupped his fists, prostrating himself in admiration as he had nothing to say. Pondering for a long time, Little E gave up. It seems the results are very clear. Li Shishir resumed her clam, a smile across her whole face. To be able to play with 1,000-gene copper lion in his hand, and to be able to utter an absolute for all eternity, all the guests present felt ashamed of their inferiority. Not a word was said. A token at this time flew into Su Xing's hand. After 7 days, we invite young master to again come to the Heavenly Excitement building for a gathering. Prepare for the military slays 6 generals. Li Shishir said. With singing and dancing, the restaurant was a field of jubilation. Su Xing did not stay at the Heavenly Prosperity establishment for too long. Since he already obtained the qualifications, he very quickly took his leave. Sitting on the carriage, Shi Yuan still continuously uttered that absolute for all eternity of Su Xing's, Willow Pond locked in smoke. Although the thief star did not have interest in prose and verse sorts of things, seeing the man she liked boldly show himself, her heart still was contented. Su Xing, just how did you think of that? Truly too mysterious. Shi Yuan said, worshipping him. Su Xing naturally could not say he saw it on the internet. Instead, a divine light had flashed. Did Big Brother Su Xing figure out a response? And Suwen's question aroused their curiosity. The difficulty in responding lies in the artistry. Wu Xinjie said. Su Xing also felt this way. However, Xinjie actually thought of one. Really? The girls were startled. Let's hear you say it. Su Xing was engrossed. Wu Xinjie smiled, for Willow Pond locked in smoke. Xinjie responds, Clogged town building burned in fog. 16. The carts inside was silent for ages. Su Xing clapped, giving her a big thumbs up, endlessly admiring her, Xinjie, worthy of being called the knowledge star. This absolute for all eternity unexpectedly really was responded to. Fog became rain, and rain became water, that was considered clever. A burning fog not inferior to locking smoke, it was as if the scenery was before them. A clogged town building made their eyes promptly see a crowded checkpoint tower. Smoke filled the sky as if it was burning on the tower, the burning fog like a blazing flame of war, indicating the pertinent building's bitterness and desolation. Only in terms of artistry, if Willow Pond locked in smoke was like the grace of a humble family's pretty daughter in the sunny south, then Clogged town building burning in fog was a blood-soaked and valiant hero. Pretty good. Shi Yuan was dizzy. Apparently, the most talented and learned is still elder sister knowledge star. Wu Xinjie, how did you think of that? Lin Yingmei asked. How would Xinjie have any literary talent? Xinjie merely previously wandered Liangshan and happened to once go to the forever bloody Sand Pass, 17, and seeing this place's fort, Xinjie then thought of it. Wu Xinjie smiled. Everyone clearly understood. The forever bloody fort was one of the Great Liang's extremely bitter mountain passes. Located in the Vermilion Bird territory bordering the 10,000 Devils Mountain, that place waged wars year-round. An inch of flesh covered the earth, and the earth became bloody. Every early morning, the fog was a blood red, just like a blazing inferno. This time's language passes 3 checkpoints made each of the girls experience the astonishing words of Su Xing and the different knowledge star. This heavenly star's master recruitment truly is peculiar. Su Xing said. And we don't know if this is real or not. He had some doubts. The outcome will be seen after 7 days. Xinjie thinks that this heavenly star is very extraordinary. Wu Xinjie smiled mysteriously, seemingly guessing about 70 or 80%. However, me tricking her like this isn't too suitable, right? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. The knowledge star smiled, unconcerned, no need to worry. Since it is a public recruitment for a master, then we can assume so. There is no tricking or not of any sort. Can young master truly sign a 5th sister? And Suwen and Shi Yuan gazed at each other, feeling this matter was too mysterious. Yingmei, what do you say? Wu Xinji very considerately inquired Lin Yingmei's opinion. Put it any way, the majestic star Lin Chong was the first to sign a contract with Su Xing, and she was also considered the first and legal wife. 18. Lin Yingmei shook her head. If it was before, she used to even have some conflicts with Su Xing nowadays, she already no longer thought this way. She was even brimming with anticipation. Li Shishi returned to the red winding apricot, 19, and let out a breath of air. 7 candidates finally were all collected. With things like this, she could be considered to have completed the mission that Heavenly Star assigned to her. Little E, could you make out that Yun Yuzi's background? Seeing those 4 young beauties at his side, it seems to be not simple. Could he be a star master? Li Shishi asked the maid beside her, her countenance somewhat anxious. Little Yi's red pupils flickered rays of light, emotionless, not replying. Stone Tablet City Public Square, under the devil-suppressing steel. A youth raised his head to look at the script on the stone tablet. His face was white as jade, elegant and graceful. His cultivation seemed to only be at Nebula late stage, but in a fluid glance, an expression that looked down upon everything was released. The Jiang Yundao who stood guard at the devil-suppressing steel was respectfully nearby, completely without that overbearing attitude he had initially when he warned Su Xing. There were an additional 6 masters clutching long swords. Metallic crossbow military generals stood on each side, each of their presences reserved, the middle of their foreheads full. In a moment, nobody dared approach within a few meters of the devil-suppressing steel. Father Emperor truly is skilled. I, of the palace, do not know just when I will have the bearing of these words. The youth opened his mouth, his tone insulting and arrogant. He was precisely the current Great Liang dynasty's 4th prince, His Highness Xiaoqing. 20. Your Majesty, to reach Nebula late stage without contracting a star general, this class of talent, any of the star cultivators in the Great Liang are far inferior. Jiang Yundao said. I, of the palace, practice demonic arts, that's all. Zhao Qing deeply sighed, gently stroking the characters on the stone tablet, with endless pity. Sister and brother both have heavenly stars serving them. If I, of the palace, did not take an alternate route, then there was no catching up. 4th Highness, could it be no star general wants to sign a contract with your Majesty? Jiang Yundao was surprised. I, of the palace, only want a heavenly star. Those earthly stars, I, of the palace, certainly do not have interest for. Zhao Qing haughtily said. Then the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment's heavenly star, I, of the palace, already assigned people to go investigate. If there is a heavenly star, then good. If not, just take that Li Shishi to join a brothel. Zhao Qing coldly smiled. At this time, a spy returned with news that the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment contracted the final candidate. Zhao Qing suddenly exposed a trace of zealotry. When he heard of Su Xing's method to superbly control the Copper Lion, Jiang Yundao could not help but tremble in fear. This star cultivator indeed was seriously brilliant. However, what Zhao Qing actually cared about was another matter. Willow Pond locked in smoke. Truly an absolute for all eternity. 4th Highness. Your humble servant has seen that person before. Nebula late stage, for beautiful girls, his background is not small. Who cares who he is, no one can stop I, of the palace, from contracting a heavenly star. Zhao Cheng's expression was ruthless. The devil-suppressing stone table was suddenly surrounded by a black light, shook briefly, and terrified Jiang Yundao. Fortunately, after Zhao Qing calmed down, the devil-suppressing steel also fell back to tranquility. Gazing at the 4th prince before his eyes, Jiang Yundao abruptly felt the surroundings briefly turn cold. His heart ineffably had a trace of fear. Not only did magic weapons have far greater spiritual power than magic artifacts, in all aspects, they were stronger by several levels. On average, magic weapons required the star energy of a supercluster cultivator, whose was vast as the ocean, in order to be refined, so magic weapons could only be used at supercluster or galaxy late stage, at the very least. However, there were times that nebula cultivators used magic weapons for battle. In addition, this type of magic weapon was refined from an ancient lost treasure. However, to refine an ancient lost treasure into a low-grade magic weapon was simply hated by men and gods alike in the eyes of others. After the magic circle was placed, Su Xing controlled the heaven and earth sword and shield to float in the air. Then, he wiped some essence blood on the sword and the shield, and he urged his star energy to begin refining the remnants of the crying infant's breath on the ancient lost treasure. The ancient breath and Su Xing's divine intent, blood and qi mixed together, and a formless battle unfolded in his mind. Refining two ancient losts at the same time very much put to the test a star cultivator's willpower and control, but it enormously promoted a star cultivator's ability to control star energy. It was precisely thanks to refining these two lost treasures that Su Xing could effortlessly play with the two copper lions at will in his hands. At the same time Su Xing earnestly refined the ancient lost treasure, the other girls were not idle. Lin Yingmei was responsible for taking up guard duty. Wu Xinjie brought out several dozen maps and more than 10 ancient annals, the jade strip and scrolls, flipping through the pages on one hand while she took notes, planning for future matters. Shi Yuan, as usual, studies the MO attack mechanism arts and upgraded the final Copperman puppet using the 6th rank One-Eyed Dragon's soul, and she asked Wu Xinjie for assistance when she reached difficult portions. The knowledge star quickly provided her wisdom, and Shi Yuan's puppet mechanism operation made speedy progress. And Suan also was not unoccupied. Besides using the evil-suppressing gem bamboo to breed the essence-swallowing dragons, the efficacious star currently mulled over a bold plan, to manufacture a pill talisman that transformed a pill to have a talisman's use. Inside the void Liangshan, acting as the divine physician, and Suan mostly was on the sidelines worrying helplessly. Since she could not formulate a flawless trap and kill plan like the resourceful star, nor did she have any way to charge and break through enemy lines like the majestic star, it was the flea on a drum's random appearing and disappearing that could bring about surprising results. And Suan did not want to stand on the side looking and worrying helplessly. Regarding the efficacious stars helping the dying and healing the injured, that was her personal strength. There were myriad changes in an instant inside a fight, but that would not give her this chance. Vital Qi, Essence Qi, Magic Energy, Star Energy and so on all were crucial. If she could create a few talisman-like, fast-acting pills, in a battle, it could manifest unexpected turning points. However, that the entire Azure Dragon territory had never heard before of a pill talisman was not a small challenge. 1 man and 4 women regularly and thoroughly had their hands occupied with work. They were very clear that without the support of a strong great sect, future star duels would only be even harder. Everything could only be based on their own great effort. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, they had arrived at the appointed final day. The heaven and earth sword and shield hovered in the air. They saw the dim appearance had already regained its silvery light, the pure rays binding 90% of it. Su Xing continuously struck seals, and his star energy fiercely shot over. The crying infant's breath was under continuous bombardment before it finally dispersed. The heaven and earth sword and shield shone with a dazzling brilliance, its entire body again resuming its dim appearance. Compared to artifacts, the heaven and earth sword and shield's power was reserved. A star energy dense as clouds shrouded the sword and shield, just like a nebula-grade magic weapon. It had a greater spiritual nature than it did previously, and Su Xing's divine intent lacked much of the 6th rank demon beast's powerful presence. Although it was weakened by more than half, Su Xing still was quite satisfied. Swallowing several spirit liquids that restored magic energy, and Suan fully used a spiritual aura distribution to make Su Xing's vital qi restored to perfect condition. Now we'll go see just what background this heavenly star has. Su Xing smiled. Putting away the magic circle, the group walked out the door. The 4 beautiful ladies meticulously suppressed their star maiden auras. Regarding how they concealed their identities and disguised themselves, this was nothing out of the ordinary for Wu Xinjie, and Suan and Shi Yuan. On the contrary, Lin Yingmei had the innate panther head's pride and was incapable of concealment. Her forehead's heroic spirit pressing, her eyes carrying a profound icy arrogance, she was like a guard that did not reveal deep secrets, which more and more manifested Su Xing's hedonistic and spoiled son style. Exiting the inn's door, just as they were about to arrive at the public square, from far away, they saw an old Taoist walk over to Su Xing. "Fellow Yun Yuzi, we meet yet again." Jiang Yundao good-naturedly smiled and said, "Senior Jiang, still guarding this devil-suppressing steel?" That is indeed exhausting. Su Xing likewise smiled. Not tough. For the common people seeking good fortune, this is the responsibility of we star cultivators. The star duels are what is exhausting, how bitter. The old man laughed aloud. The girls' pupils rolled, glancing at each other. Su Xing smiled and knew he had something to say. Does fellow Yun feel this way or not? The star duels of those star masters and star generals is you die, I live. How is that as free and at leisure as we, and happy? Just like fellow Yun brings 4 beauties on an outing, it indeed makes people envious, haha. Su Xing lightly smiled, I hear the victor can obtain a wish. To even be able to go to the legendary Liangshan Maiden, this enticement is not small. Could it be that fellow Yun has also been enticed? Jiang Yundao was intrigued. Senior, if you have something to say, just say it directly. Su Xing got right to the point, truly not interested in what he was hiding. Good. Jiang Yundao stroked his long beard, saying, I hear fellow already obtained the final place in the Heavenly Star recruiting a master. Correct. Fellow Yun was outstanding and out of the ordinary the first time we met. This old Taoist's insight did not see wrongly. But as your elder, this old Taoist wishes to give fellow a piece of advice, speak. Su Xing spat out a simple word. Jiang Yundao wrinkled his brow, feeling Su Xing was a bit arrogant and bossy, seemingly as if himself had turned into an underling, fellow's women to the side, wandering Liangshan, not at all happy, there is no need to participate in the star duels. This old Taoist knows this time's Heavenly Star's master recruitment. The great Liang's 4th prince is in it, and regarding this Heavenly Star, His Majesty aspires to have her. The apparently scared Su Xing did not know the meaning of the ambition of the great Liang's 4th prince to have her. He emphasized his tone, Emperor Liang has the 5 princes and princesses participate in the star duels to obtain imperial power. All the princesses and princes each were provided 100 million liang of gold. This wealth cannot be matched by anyone. Previous large sects fell over each other in their eagerness to express goodwill, and supreme grade sects gave away their secret arts. This power cannot be reached by anyone. In addition, the great Liang dynasty acts as the Azure Dragon Territory's flourishing dynasty. This authority cannot be spoken by any words. Jiang Yundao was also astute and circumspect. His mouth burst open with flowers, wealth, power, and authority all bluntly pointed out who was the genuine lead in this star duel. His words actually were not incorrect in the slightest, but there was one point that he actually was incorrect about. To have authority, wealth and power did not signify one would be the final victor. Senior wishes to inform this one beneath you this star duel is not fair. Su Xing's harmless smile made Jiang Yundao's eyelids jump, that is still all right. I have never believed in fairness. This world has never been fair. So you will not think this over for your beautiful women? Jiang Yundao tone sunk, already aggravated. Darlings, what do you all say? Su Xing frivolously asked. Your servant willingly pledges her life to follow young master. Lin Yingmei replied without the slightest hesitation. She icily glared at Jiang Yundao. A galaxy cultivator, the majestic star actually would not place him in her eyes. Jiang Yundao stared blankly, only feeling Lin Yingmei's imposing manner was vast. An icy and cold intent stabbed into his bones, and Jiang Yundao hastily urged on his star energy, blocking the counterattack of Lin Yingmei's cold intent. Gazing at Su Xing, he was actually full of surprise. It seems this old Taoist made an error in judgment. Perhaps fellow also is not an ordinary person. Jiang Yundao eased his tone, only taking Su Xing's arrogance to mean there certainly was some large sect or family supporting him from behind. Although the great Liang's princes and princesses had wealth, power, and authority, compared to a few old star cultivator clans and sects, they were still vulnerable. That 4th prince made senior pass on these words. Su Xing said. Then let this one beneath you trouble you to pass on a message to him, a general achieves renown over the dead bodies of 10,000 soldiers. 5. Fair is good, unfair is also good. The ultimate king steps wearily on the bones of the dead, and it is not relying on a few deterrent words that wishes are granted. Lin Yingmei and the other girls looked at Su Xing in awe. They did not expect the ordinarily gentle and kind Su Xing to be able to say the type of terrifying awakening, a general achieves renown over the dead bodies of 10,000 soldiers, was. Jiang Yundao stared blankly, loudly shouting, "Good! What a good, a general achieves renown over the dead bodies of 10,000 soldiers, this old Taoist certainly will report this phrase to His Highness as it is." Then, this old Taoist wishes fellow to indeed not be careless and turn into a flight of white bones underneath the feet of another. Jiang Yundao was also influenced, not saying much. Turning around, he then left, and the several dozen guards hidden in the surroundings also quietly departed. A general achieves renown over the dead bodies of 10,000 soldiers. Zhao Qing heard Jiang Yundao's report. He showed disdain. This king not wanting to raise even more of an issue does not mean this king fears him. Unexpectedly daring to say a general achieves renown over the dead bodies of 10,000 soldiers to this king. Does he wish to rebel? I hear the object shrinking art that person used was a stove fire that turned bright green, so I fear he is not simple. The womenfolk beside him also are deep and immeasurable. Jiang Yundao cautiously said. Zhao Qing smiled. What, deep and immeasurable, could those women have? They could not all be star generals. Upon this king's first star duel victory, this king shall use him as a blood sacrifice. Zhao Qing was not someone who looked impressive but was worthless. He pondered, but to guard against the unexpected, he nevertheless needed to be careful. He instructed Jiang Yundao, "We will personally arrange the location of this military slay's 6 generals. Just say that it will be changed to be convened under this devil-suppressing steel. You must quickly arrange for this." Jiang Yundao's expression slowly changed, puzzled. "Your Highness, why must it be arranged to be under the devil-suppressing steel? Could it be head guard Jiang does not feel witnessing this king's glory under the devil-suppressing steel Father Emperor erected is an event that would be a satisfaction to everyone?" Zhao Qing laughed aloud. Jiang Yundao said no more. In accordance with the token's instruction, Su Xing rushed to the Heavenly Prosperity Establishment's red winding apricot. Seeing Li Shishi, she was the same as before. Li Shishi's graceful charm displayed her beauty, and the two maids with the completely contrasting appearances, little Jia with her long hair trailing over her shoulders and her evenly trimmed bangs as well as the refined, short-haired little Yi waited on either side. Other than this, the red winding apricot had the other 6 young men and women. Each was dressed in brocades and silk, their appearance out of the common run. It was just that Su Xing noticed that 5 among them had absent-minded appearances, their eyes somewhat unhappy and preoccupied, as if they were not taking the military slay's 6 generals seriously. Su Xing inwardly smiled, understanding what was happening. "Fellow Yun, you have arrived." Li Shishi greeted him. Little Jia stepped forward to serve wine and a snack. The other star cultivators were endlessly bewildered as they looked at Su Xing. They saw his cultivation unexpectedly had reached Nebula late stage, and they were inwardly fearful. The so-called Star Master was a title born after the star duels began and was together with a star maiden. Currently, no more than 3 years had passed, and a cultivation had unexpectedly reached Nebula late stage. This speed showed the resources of heaven were outstanding, and it seems certain that he was a star master nurtured by some sect. Only through this way could his cultivation be so rapid. The 5 preoccupied star cultivators nodded their heads in a friendly manner at Su Xing. Only one man like cold iron showed disapproval. His cultivation had reached Nebula middle stage, so he did not need to be like the others. Another moment passed, and a sound came from outside the door. They saw a red-lipped, white-toothed youth putting on airs walk in. He wore an imperial brocade and had an impressive appearance. He was precisely the great Liang's 4th prince, Zhao Qing. His cultivation surprisingly reached Nebula late stage. Su Xing raised his brow. He watched this Xiao Cheng's steady footsteps, how his eyes dispersed an evil ruthlessness when he walked in. The air in the room seemingly froze solid. Li Shishi, you have finally found the final star cultivator. This king was almost impatient. Could it be that Heavenly Star is unaware this was very wasteful of time? Wanting to win the star duels, this master recruitment simply is a very laughable waste of time. Zhao Qing made unrestrained reprimands the moment he walked into the room. Li Shishi's face wore a slight smile, not taking offense. The Star General herself has her own thinking. I, your servant, am merely an intermediary, nothing more. This king wishes that Star General not make this king disappointed. Zhao Qing oddly chuckled. Since everyone is present, I, your servant will announce the final rules of the military slays 6 generals. The rules of military slays 6 generals actually were straightforward and direct, which was extraordinarily outside of their expectations, and they were not that complex as language passes 3 checkpoints. It was only on a specific ring, and the 7 chosen would fight in a chaotic melee. As long as only one star cultivator was left in the end, then the Star General would sign a star duel covenant with them. This was Slay's 6 generals. Seemingly simple, but it made the 7-star cultivators finally rise above others in a brawl. This Star General's plan was very astute. Not a single one of them had an objection. Zhao Qing said, "This king has a suggestion." "What does your highness wish to say?" Since the time period of this master recruitment was half a year long, place the final Slay's 6 generals arena at the devil-suppressing steel. On one hand it will permit the people to witness a heavenly star's methods. So as to avoid having people think Li Shishi is a swindler, secondly, because it is at the devil-suppressing steel, there would be no need to fear other people using treacherous tricks. How do you feel? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. He felt this Xiao Qing secretly had some plan, but what he said had sentiment and reason, making it difficult to reject for the time being. Li Shishi looked around, then nodded her head in agreement. Several meters outside the devil-suppressing steels, a 4 to 5 meter wide, more than a dozen zhang tall arena had already been built. Mahogany was used as beams, and embroidered banners floated in exhibition. The entire surroundings had soldiers grasping sharp blades standing guard. Jiang Yundao and Li Shishi sat under the devil's ceiling steel. As Galaxy Middle Stage cultivators, he could be counted as the sole Great One in Stone Table City, and they assumed the role as witnesses to this master recruitment. In a restaurant not far from the public square, Wu Xinjie and the girls sat on seats near the window as they distantly watched the arena, their lips tasting tea, their expressions relaxed. This was the Heavenly Star's master recruitment's final military slays 6 generals. Each of the girls felt completely reassured about Su Xing, especially when they glanced at the 6-star cultivators on the courtyard. Besides the great Liang's 4th prince Xiao Cheng that could compare to Su Xing, the other 5 would collapse at the first blow. Wu Xinjie was already looking forward to the things that would happen after he signed with the Heavenly Star. This sister of ours certainly has been troublesome, creating something this complex to find a contractor. Shi Yuan propped up her chin, muttering to herself. Sister Xinjie, which sister is she and is she here? And Suan asked curiously. She should be hidden somewhere taking note of this battle. Wu Xinjie replied. Because she feared exposing her identity, Wu Xinj did not use think then act. Naturally, she could not know who in the several thousands surrounding the courtyard was the Star General. However, there was a person that made Wu Xinjie pay careful attention to. The knowledge star stared at someone beside Li Shishi, at a maid with an apathetic face whose eyes held a glimmer. The 7 chosen very quickly stepped onto the stage, each spreading out. Li Shishi glanced at the maid little E. The cold and detached girl picked up a cup and smashed it to bits where she stood, officially declaring the start of military slays 6 generals. Many of the populace and star cultivators thought they would immediately see an incomparably intense battle since the dawn of time to now. Who would have thought that for a long time after the cup was shattered, the 7-star cultivators all did not move, did not act. Wu Xinjie scoffed with a pft. The 7-person melee could only have one victor, and perhaps they did not dare rashly act out. Su Xing shook his head, indifferently sweeping his eyes over everyone present. Those who wish to give up, just quickly give up, don't waste time. Being vain and trying to snatch up whatever convenience there may be, those lack the qualifications to be favored by the heavenly star. The plaza clamored, saying this youth was very arrogant. The battle had not started, yet he wanted others to retreat. Big brother Su Xing indeed is truly daring, does he not fear being surrounded and attacked? And Suan blinked. Peace. Wu Xinjie smiled, young master already saw through the surface of this battle. Surface? As expected, the previous 5 inattentive star cultivators looked at each other in dismay. They were all Nebula early stage, so naturally they knew they did not have a bit of a chance. Yet, they were not resigned. Zhao Qing gave the 5 a look. The 5 cultivators altogether stepped forward, and among them, a female cultivator sneered, "Fellow truly is arrogant, wanting to let us retreat. It would be better to have you retreat first." The 5 cultivators loudly shouted, simultaneously attacking. Swords swept out. Every kind of artifact flew towards Su Xing with a whoosh, bright and multicolored, the luster moving brilliantly. Su Xing's 5 fingers fought, and wooden sword appeared in his hand, confronting the approaching attacking artifacts. His figure rapidly flew backwards, his star energy imbued onto the sword. The ordinary and mediocre red wood immediately ignited into thunder and fire, lightning flashing and dancing. It's the heavenly lightning earthly fire sword. Someone loudly shouted. Su Xing subsequently waved the firebolt sword in accordance with the massive star energy inside his body. The firebolt sword's lightning fire blazed with an extremely rampant power. The blaze bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws soared up. With a wave down, a huge clap of thunder directly split open the air. When this attack fell downwards, every artifact was shot down without the least bit of resistance. Star cultivators that dared to participate in the star duels naturally had some assets and haughtiness. Su Xing's first attack with heavenly lightning earthly fire did not scare them, and the 5 immediately once again adjusted to uniformity, throwing whatever was in their bags with practice. SFX, schwa schwa schwa. 500 talismans flew out, and there was just like a great snowstorm in the air above the arena. When those people saw this spectacular scene, for a time, they could not move as if they were choked. The 500 talismans seemed vicious as far as a star cultivator with Su Xing's cultivation was concerned. Su Xing struck a hand seal, and the firebolt sword slashed downwards through the air. Sword light emitted, and it transformed into 5 rolling waves of fire lightning, rolling towards the sky. The blaze and lightning overflowed the heavens, and in a split second, the 500 talismans were burned clean away. 10,000 liang of gold became scattered ashes and dispersed smoke in the blink of an eye. The expressions of the 5-star cultivators changed. They were again about to call out every sort of method, but Su Xing would not give them a chance. Rushing forward, his body was like a fiery shadow, all of a sudden enveloping the 5-star cultivators within. Those star cultivators did not expect Su Xing's speed was surprisingly this quick, they were even too late to put up a defensive opportunity. Su Xing grabbed one of the opponents, his palm secretly holding a blooming water divine thunder. The counterpart screamed, then lost consciousness on the spot. 2 other star cultivators seized the chance to put out shields and barriers to defend, but Su Xing's firebolt sword easily rushed. In such a close range as this, it cleaved apart the defenses as easily as blowing dust, and a fire snake swallowing the heavens also set the star cultivators down. Within the blink of an eye, 3 comrades lost the ability to resist. The remaining man and woman's faces were extremely unsightly. Seeing Su Xing unexpectedly fought this easily, the male cultivator bellowed, bringing out a large sword and cutting at Su Xing. Because of the fighting ability of the seal he inherited from the majestic star, the male cultivator before him playing like this was digging his own grave. Su Xing flung his hand and staggered the man's large sword. With a slap on his back, the wooden sword simultaneously beat the nape of the counterpart's neck. He screamed, and the male cultivator fell over. Chopping gold talisman. 2, go. The female cultivator finally seized a chance, chanting. A middle-grade talisman became a golden sword light that exactly hit Su Xing's stomach, and they heard the clanging of golden armor. The female cultivator was delighted, and she was just about to prepare a second attack when she suddenly saw Su Xing not the slightest bit wounded appear in front of her. Impossible. The female cultivator had not figured out why her middle-grade talisman surprisingly did not have the slightest effect on Su Xing when he raised and lowered his sword, and the female cultivator lost her consciousness. While the narration was long, in actuality, these movements were fast as lightning by the time Su Xing put away the firebolt sword. The entire plaza was already absolutely silent. So incredible. Jiang Yundao's heart shivered. 5 Nebula stage cultivators unexpectedly had been dispatched within a breath. His attack strategy flowed smoothly, like moving clouds and flowing water, and those 5-star cultivators in any case could be considered to have assets. Jiang Yundao knew one of them possessed a high-grade talisman, but even that was not used quickly enough, thus leading to complete defeat. This man was too unwavering. Jiang Yundao believed he himself could not handle 5-star cultivators as relaxed as that man had. He looked at Zhao Cheng, and while the Great Liang's 4th Highness did not bat an eyelid, his eyes nevertheless very clearly revealed a trace of astonishment. The arena very quickly was left with Su Xing and Zhao Cheng. Very good. Defeating this kind of star cultivator such as yourself certainly will make Father Emperor sit up and take notice. Zhao Qing sneered, already continuously placing defenses around his whole body, a shallow black color glimpsing nearby. Su Xing raised and cut with the firebolt sword. The flames knocked against Zhao Cheng's defenses and shook open a ripple but did not bring about a significant result. Zhao Qing immediately regained confidence, brought out a box of inkstone and threw it at Su Xing while chanting an incantation. That ink slab suddenly swelled several sizes, the deep and distinct engraved lines clearly visible, and a black and evil smoke sprayed out under Zhao Cheng's control. The black smoke had myriad changes, spreading all around Su Xing and acted as a shroud. Black evil inkstone. Jiang Yundao slightly smiled. Prince Zhao Cheng deserved to be called a star master nurtured by the Great Liang. The moment he acted, it was a supreme-grade nebula artifact. Some black smoke concentrated like black ink, an encroaching qi that engulfed. The nebula star cultivators simply had no method that could block it, and like its name said, it was black and evil tyranny that made people detest it bitterly. Yet, Zhao Cheng was not satisfied. After raising the black evil inkstone, he also bit open a fingertip, dispersing essence blood that dissolved into the black smoke. The black smoke immediately showed blood among its black, and the bloody light condensed together, seeming like an evil spirit from purgatory opening its bloody mouth. A few cultivators just looking at it felt themselves shudder while the masses already had been scared out of their wits. Blood Sacrifice Mind Great Array. 2. Jiang Yundao shouted in astonishment. The Blood Sacrifice Mind Great Array was one of Liangshan continent's demonic arts, specially for refining one's own essence blood. Dissolving it into an ability, that ability then would show this kind of bloody and fiendish light. Not only would it let spellcasters have greater and easier control of their powers, the blood fiend within would make the powers might even more corrosive than before. From when the 5 Nebula cultivators began to fight Su Xing, Zhao Qing knew the valiance of the man before him, and when he acted, he wanted to directly slay Su Xing. The supreme-grade Nebula artifact Black Evil Inkstone combined with the secret art Blood Sacrifice Mind Great Array. This kind of combined position that could loftily correspond to the Star Cultivator was fine. This was the imperial family's star master of authority and power, Jiang Yundao thought to himself. Looking at Su Xing, he had originally thought this man would certainly be scared pale, or at least show alarm. However, he completely exceeded Jiang Yundao's imagination. Su Xing was steady and calm, not moved in the slightest. It seemed as if the blood-colored black smoke filling the sky was merely only so. Under Zhao Cheng's divine intent, the bloodlight black smoke even more quickly condensed into an enormous form that sealed Su Xing's escape route before then engulfing Su Xing. Having been swallowed by the black smoke, they feared Su Xing certainly would be crippled or left half alive. When Su Xing scattered several heavenly lightning earthly fires that were cleanly swallowed by the black smoke, he immediately realized what was different about this black smoke. Once again looking at that clear bloodlight, it made the attacking blood smoke brim even more with a fierce look. Su Xing stowed away the firebolt sword, losing the obstruction provided by heavenly lightning earthly fire. The black smoke viciously bit at him, seeming like an evil spirit from the underworld. Su Xing shouted, and in his hand appeared a shield. The shield was carved with the seal of a divinatory diagram, the amulets flashing. An infant's crying broke through the air, and the weeping tore at the heart, shaking people from the core. The fiercely engulfing black smoke halted as if it had been stopped by something invisible, continuously stopped in midair. The shield's sound waves unceasingly beat upon the smoke. That congealed and unchanging black cloud withered a little bit, and Zhao Qing could only sacrifice essence blood to further enlarge the black smoke so that it could finally counterattack. That is a magic weapon. Jiang Yundao stood up in shock. He shouted, overwhelmed. He could see with just a look that the shield in Su Xing's hand was the crying infant's ancient lost treasure earth shield refined. The magic energy on the shield appeared cloud-shaped, surrounding Su Xing. The black evil inkstone's black smoke could only tear at him from nearby, completely incapable of penetrating. How could an artifact break through a magic weapon's might? Zhao Qing at this time was also astonished, unwilling to give up as he linked hand seals. A Taoist magic and essence blood shot into the black smoke, and in the blink of an eye, the black smoke completely enveloped Su Xing. The arena already appeared as a deep, dark color. The thick as black smoke absorbed every source of light. Shi Yuan saw this, and her heart could not help but tighten, springing up from her seat. There is no need to worry. Young Master's heaven sword has not been used. Wu Xinjie smiled. Even if Zhao Cheng's supreme-grade artifact and blood sacrifice mind emitted anything more brilliantly, he himself in the end was merely a Nebula late-stage cultivator. In terms of magic power, Su Xing far surpassed him. A Nebula magic weapon simply was not something a great Liang prince could shake up. Of course, that was unless he had some type of trump card. Wu Xinjie knit her brow. Sure enough, she saw that after Zhao Qing saw that the black evil inkstone could only use up his magic energy in a steady flow, he abandoned continuing to support it. He turned to slapping his hand on a suspended charm. Light flashed, and a black chi cut and revealed a demon's broadsword. The black sword swelled several times in the wind, a demonic face that terrified people. The sword's hilt spat out a black light that hacked towards Su Xing. The Su Xing who used the heaven shield to defend was too late in making the adjustment. Everyone cried out in alarm, hastily dodging out of the way. As the broadsword slashed, the sticky and thick unchanging black smoke was torn open easily by this sword, the smoke rapidly faded away under the black sword's light. This unexpectedly was a Nebula magic weapon. Lin Yingmei tightly clenched her fists, already rising, jumping down. All of the girls did not dare carelessly follow down, fearful that Su Xing met with a mishap. You thought only you had a magic weapon? Taste this king's crying ghost saber. 3. Zhao Qing proudly laughed his head off. A ghost's cry resounded, and the black smoke dissipated. A tall and straight figure like a statue appeared before everyone's eyes as Zhao Cheng's smiling expression spontaneously ended. They only saw Su Xing hold single-handedly a large sword that held up the crying ghost saber's slash. Another Nebula magic weapon, Heaven Sword. Jiang Yunfei was in disbelief. He unexpectedly had two of the crying infant's immemorial lost treasures. It seemed very clearly refined by his own self. To only refine an ancient lost treasure into a Nebula-grade magic weapon was far too extravagant. Jiang Yundao finally understood why Su Xing previously returned disdain for his words. Comparing unfairness, the artifacts of the guy before him were even more unfair. Su Xing coldly looked at Zhao Cheng. His feet moved, rushing towards him. Zhao Cheng hastily controlled the crying ghost saber to hack out ghost cries, but the equivalently Nebula-ranked magic weapon Earth Shield easily resisted. This king's methods are not what you can imagine. Zhao Cheng bound a seal, and several dozen black-armored ghosts suddenly appeared in his surroundings. These black-armored ghosts under his divine intent promptly killed towards Su Xing. Su Xing's heaven sword slashed and hacked, cleaving onto a black-armored ghost. The black-armored ghosts actually were not frail as he thought. Slightly resembling blooming water divine thunder's shape-changing attack, the remaining black-armored ghosts bit at Su Xing like locusts. At this moment, the crying ghost saber lowered, and several sword lights swiftly flowed onto Su Xing's body. His skin promptly ached with a painful heat, cutting open several pitch-black wounds. Su Xing hastily retreated backwards, the black-armored ghosts following. Su Xing assembled his star energy onto the artifacts, and the earth shield was thrown out to obstruct the crying ghost saber. Subsequently, the heaven sword flew wildly in his hand. Sword lights scattered everywhere, rising high and sweeping. In the blink of an eye, it hacked apart these black-armored ghosts. Zhao Cheng violently spat out blood, his complexion pale. Su Xing's sword chopped into the wind. Zhao Cheng was helpless, recalling the crying ghost saber to his hand. The two Nebula-grade magic weapons joined together, and with a shake, it shook the two people apart several meters. The stifling battle of this prison equals-like place finally showed a small chance to catch breath. The wounds he received from the crying ghost saber's tearing transmitted an odd poison, so Su Xing took out the detoxification bead and held it in his mouth. Zhao Cheng panted great mouthfuls, his heart already astonished. He repeatedly brought out the methods he was most proud of but was unable to take possession of the slightest convenience, and his opponent seemed to be abundantly collected. In addition, he had not used a thunder art against him. Just what is this bastard's background? Zhao Qing did not dare believe there was a star master that could be above him. Besides his elder sister of the great Liang who he was unable to contend against, even if it was the second Prince Xiaoheng, he was still 70% confident. However, the confidence he had accumulated had been, in a very short time, ravaged to nearly total ruin by Su Xing. Just which sect do you come from? Could you be of the White Tiger territory? Zhao Qing believed he knew the star masters of this generation from the Azure Dragon territory like the back of his hand. Regardless of whether it was that exceptional and stunning genius, Xie Zhenyuan, 5, of the Most High Path, 6, or the monster of the Lifeless Hall, 7, rarely seen in 100 years, Yan Wudao, 8, he understood both. Furthermore, he had never seen the Yun Yuzi before his eyes. Of course, using such an item as the change appearance pill to conceal his features, this was very difficult to say. How are all the martial arts Your Majesty? The fourth prince learned a few of the corrupt type. Su Xing did not answer, only asking a question back, secretly holding Zhao Cheng to a new level of respect. The martial arts and magic weapons he displayed were very awesome. If he did not have Nebula magic weapons, Su Xing would have had to waste a lot of heart blood to handle this. If it was anyone else, they would have been finished long ago. However, saying this back, even if Su Xing at this moment realized the valiant point of Star Maidens, according to his estimate, the abilities that the Zhao Cheng before his eyes showed simply could not withstand several of Lin Yingmei's attacks. No wonder people like Zhao Cheng desired powerful heavenly star military generals. Do you admit defeat? Su Xing saw that Zhao Cheng had exhausted all his strategies. You jest, you want to make this king concede? Ha ha ha. Zhao Qing unashamedly laughed, and 3 or 4 black as ink flying swords flew out. Because he was only a Nebula cultivator, he had not learned sword art abilities. The flying swords operated by his divine intent were not many, there might also not great, like an ordinary artifact. Su Xing's heaven sword slashes, and several top-notch artifacts disintegrated. Subsequently, his figure flashed, and Su Xing already went for the kill. Not conceding, then beat him until he did. Zhao Qing threw the crying ghost saber. Obstructing Su Xing, he suddenly turned and ran towards the devil-suppressing steel. His sudden action made everyone baffled. Li Shishi and the others under the devil-suppressing steel hastily got out of the way, so as to avoid the battle of these two bringing disaster to the pond fish. Su Xing deflected the crying ghost saber, at this moment seeing Zhao Qing standing atop the towering devil-suppressing stone steel. He saw Zhao Cheng's expression was extremely malevolent, his hand holding a jade pendant. Grinning evilly, he cut open his wrist, fresh blood following the jade ornament as it flowed out with a glug-glug onto the devil-suppressing steel. They saw Zhao Cheng's face was fierce as a demon's, and they heard the sound of thunder. The heavenly star recruiting a master, open wide your eyes and witness this king's power. This king will make you accept me wholeheartedly. Jiang Yundao was greatly alarmed, immediately realizing what Zhao Cheng wanted to do. Your Highness, quickly stay your hand. "16 devil exorcising flying swords formed a sword array that floated around Jiang Yundao. When he saw Zhang Cheng's conduct and actions, this galaxy middle stage cultivator nevertheless suppressed the urge to stop himself. Zhao Qing cut open the artery in his wrist, and blood followed the jade ornament, falling like a bubbling creek and instantly soaking into the devil-suppressing steel. The steel's bloodlines appeared while at the same time showing a glimpse of 99 devil-suppressing seals, and the 10 words on the steel twisted like tadpoles, showing its true nature. The originally very imposing characters at this instant seemingly wanted to breathe out supernatural beings. The devil-suppressing magic seals withered away one after another, and in an instant, a black wind on the steel blew. Black clouds pressed down on the city, and Stone Table City fell into darkness. The spectating masses already scattered and ran, and low-level cultivation star cultivators one by one lost their heads out of fear. They wanted to escape the city, but the black curtain that pressed down unexpectedly surrounded Stone Table City into itself. Within the fear and screams, Zhao Cheng's demonic sounds were like a devilish brainwashing noise. By means of mine essence blood as the medium, undo the devil-suppressing seals. The executed ghost cavalry divine generals of this place, come quickly, hear this king's dispatch. At the spot contaminated with blood, the devil-suppressing seals immediately melted, and in the blink of an eye, 13 devil-suppressing seals were undone in succession. The black winds were increasingly numerous, condensing into figures in midair. A figure with an indistinct hand that clutched a black iron sword, wore black iron armor, and was draped with a feather crest slowly descended like a divine soldier. Ghost Cavalry Divine General. 10 years ago, the Ghoul clans colluded with the Cloudcover Empire to use every sort of secret technique and forbidden art to create an immediately terrifying, Ghost Cavalry Divine General. These Ghost Cavalry Divine Generals used living souls as food, essence blood as air, neither slept nor complained, felt neither pain nor fear. At once, 33 Ghost Cavalry and 66 Divine Generals were like uninhabited locations, a long drive into the great Liang dynasty's 1,000 li. They defeated several 100,000 soldiers, almost taking the capital, Bian City. Emperor Liang personally met the enemy, killing all the Ghost Cavalry Divine Generals and erecting on the border a monument to intimidate the supernatural. Afterwards, Emperor Liang drove a wedge between the Ghoul clans and the Vermilion Bird Territory's 100 clans to incite discord, then extinguished hereafter the danger of the Ghoul clans. This was the publicly available data. However, what was not public was not written. Although Emperor Liang defeated the Ghost Cavalry Divine General personally, the Ghost Cavalry's head, the Ghost Cavalry King, 3, was extremely valiant. The two fought to Stone Tablet, and Emperor Liang relied on a prearranged devil-suppressing magic circle and devil-suppressing steel to finally suppress him. The devil-suppressing steel was forged from 99 precious materials including Precipice Mountain's breath soil, Head Mountain's pure copper, 5, Relic Blade dark iron, 6, Star Divine sand, 7, and others, then casted using heavenly fire simply was equivalent to a purple star-grade astral treasure. The 99 devil-suppressing seals inscribed on the steel established a secret technique for bid dance. 10 years later, although many people wanted to break the devil-suppressing steel, basically, there was no one who could. Your Highness, could it be? Jiang Yundao suddenly somewhat realized why Zhao Cheng's body was all demonic arts powerful magics. 8, HM. Zhao Cheng coldly laughed. He had waited for this moment already for a very long time. When the star duels originally commenced, Emperor Liang had his 5 children participate in the star duels to vie for imperial power. Furthermore, he conferred to each son and daughter one opportunity. The eldest daughter Princess Ling Yan obtained the personal teachings of 72 Outer Void Flying Deity's Sword. Second Prince Xiao Heng obtained 9 Suns Burning Heaven True Art, 9, while the third prince chose an equivalently supreme grade sword art, but only Zhao Cheng was an exception. What he chose was the demonic arts way, 10, obtained from the initially extinguished Ghoul clan. At that time, he had been mocked and ridiculed by his siblings, who believed he was obsessed, courting disaster. Although the demonic school's magic allowed him to enormously promote his cultivation, he was only content for a time. How could they ever expect that Zhao Cheng's wild scheme actually was for the devil-suppressing steel's demon cavalry divine general? 3 years later, he finally knew how he should use the devil-suppressing steel. The devil-suppressing steel sensed imperial blood and unceasingly trembled in response. The devil-suppressing seals were more and more weak, the black wind transforming into a more concentrated shape. Your Highness, you must not do this. Located below it are all the monsters His Majesty was unable to handle. The flying swords around Jiang Yundao chirped. This official had no room to advance or retreat. What is there to be afraid of? This king possesses a way to make them swear allegiance. Zhao Qing clutched the jade ornament, striking a seal. A whistling sound broke through the air. Zhao Qing raised his head and saw Su Xing already sword-riding and attacking, the heaven sword slicing the wind and cutting the moon. An ink-like defensive light cover unhurriedly opened, the magic weapon-grade heaven sword unable to cut it open. Su Xing released blooming water divine thunder, and the purple thunder washed away the black wind, breaking Zhao Cheng's defenses. Zhao Qing saw this, and raising his divine intent, more than 10 high-grade talismans transformed into every sort of beast shape to block Su Xing. When Su Xing cleanly cut them down, at this moment, the devil-suppressing steel had 66 devil-suppressing seals undone. A gloomy black wind shrouded Stone Tablet City as black clouds pressed down, miserable, dark and desolate. Go! Upon seeing this, Su Xing in response had the heaven sword transform into a rainbow light that cut downwards. At this moment, Jiang Yundao was unable to deal with that much anymore, and the descended devil sword array shot towards the black shadow. Bang! Black light flashed, and a long sword blocked, making Su Xing and Jiang Yundao's sword array result in failure. The shadow congealed into an entity as if it had substance, a black fierce mask-wearing, long sword-holding man appeared in the air, a type of formidable pressure unexpectedly shook the people and made them unable to breathe. Ghost Cavalry King. Jiang Yundao was stunned. Zhao Qing was pleased, ordering, Ghost Cavalry King, quickly kill that bastard for me. What qualifications do you have to command me? The Ghost Cavalry King disdained to do so, raising his long sword. The devil-suppressing steel became something several inches in size in his palm. Zhao Qing grasped the devil-suppressing steel in one hand and the jade ornament in the other, sneering, "This king can release you as well as make you return. Should you serve this king can let you be happy in Liangshan." The ghost cavalry king stared. That jade ornament once was his personal artifact. Now, it was linked to the devil-suppressing seal's divine intent, and at any time, he could return to the ice-cold ground. The ghost cavalry king coldly grunted, stowing the long sword, and turning around, fell onto the stage light as a feather. A kind of powerful pressure constricted Su Xing as if Mount Tai were on his shoulder. The ghost cavalry king reportedly was a general of the Ghoul clan and proficient in military arts. He originally relied on the 7-chi devil saber in his hand that shared equal fame as Emperor Liang's 72 outer void flying deity's sword. Although he had been pressed down upon by the devil-suppressing steel for 10 years and his cultivation was greatly lowered, to Su Xing, he was still a frightening existence. As long as this king has the ghost cavalry king, do you still fear this star duel is unattainable? Ha, 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 ha. Zhao Qing complacently howled with laughter. Your Highness, please, quickly stop. This ghost cavalry king is not something your Highness can manage. Jiang Yundao anxiously shouted. This shout drew the ghost cavalry king's killing intent. A blade slashed over, its speed quick to the peak, the 16 devil exorcising swords became a sword array to stop it. The sound of the wind shattered, and the long blade penetrated deeply. Unexpectedly, it cut open the devil exorcising swords and hacked at Jiang Yundao. The old Daoist's face lost its color. A Vajra official seal was tossed out that heavily smashed onto the ghost cavalry king's body. The ghost cavalry king's shadow ruptures, exposing an angry look. The sword chi tore the gold seal to shreds on Jiang Yundao's body, spitting out a black light that cleanly devoured him. What are you doing? Zhao Qing was dumbfounded. The ghost cavalry king disdained to explain. This king, 11, requires essence energy to recover. Could it be a little food is out of the question? Kill them quickly. Zhao Qing was unsightly. The ghost cavalry king's actions flit past, and a galaxy middle stage cultivator unexpectedly was killed off without the least bit of resistance. Su Xing was shaken. He saw the ghost cavalry king approach, and clutching the heaven sword, a purple cloud spilled over. A strange expression flashed across the ghost cavalry king's eyes. Looking at the wound smashed open in his stomach by the golden seal, he did not mind it and laughed gloomily. You still will not flee? Su Xing actually thought of escaping, but Stone Tablet City had been sealed by the dark clouds, just like as if it had turned into death row. Running completely lacked sense. Apparently, this place has rather good delicacies. The ghost cavalry king looked around his surroundings, playful eyes sweeping past Wu Xinjie and the rest. His tone not falling, the ghost cavalry king then raised the long sword in his hand and simultaneously shot towards Su Xing, blooming water divine thunder. The purple cloud divine thunder that Su Xing had spent a while condensing burst forth. Unable to deal with his real body being discovered, the blooming water divine thunder thick and solid as a python opened its mouth wide. A tearing sound. The ghost cavalry king unexpectedly used the demon saber in his hand to tear open the blooming water divine thunder, and then he slashed at Su Xing's neck in the blink of an eye. Su Xing had plentiful experience in close quarters combat, and he rapidly leaned to the side, dodging, but the ghost cavalry king's attack plagued him like an evil spirit. An excellent and accurate method not inferior to Lin Chong. Lin Yingmei at this time had no choice but to expose her identity. Rapidly going on stage, her speed was swift to the peak, an ice-cold spear crossing against the Devil Saber's attack trajectory. The chilliness of the spear's edge was not something even the Ghost Cavalry King dared receive directly. The Ghost Cavalry King withdrew a step, looking astonished at the maiden who appeared, staring at that spear. Arctic Star Serpent Spear. Lin Chong. As expected, it is you, Purple Thunder Monster. Zhao Qing forgot himself as he shouted. A star general, this king has not yet eaten one. Seems she should be delicious. The ghost cavalry king revealed a malevolent expression. Bring it on. Lin Yingmei icily said. Her words had scarcely fallen, when their savage shadows interlinked, the two attacking each other. The majestic star and the ghost cavalry king were both excellent at martial arts. Each time they crossed blades, each moment was deadly, so tyrannical it made others incapable of interfering. The cold surrounding the weapons was just like a roaring demon wreaking havoc inside a room. The Arctic star spear's point suddenly became a chill that stabbed into the bone. Wherever it swept, not only was the air so pervaded it was like it had been frozen, even the solid stage floor was rapidly freezing. The white-hot weapon carried bursts of a blizzard, seemingly like a formless sickle. Together with the killing intent itself, it simultaneously slashed towards the opposing ghost cavalry king. In the next moment, along with the chopping motion, a several dozen meters wide black chi violently shot out from the sword's tip, directly pouncing towards Lin Yingmei. The latter promptly reversed backwards a step, raising her spear to sweep it away. The blizzard once again counterattacked the black chi. This time, the sharp blade was not in the least slowed down as it broke through the ghost cavalry king's defense. The blizzard became an even more threatening storm. The ghost shadow of the ghost cavalry king's entire body was increasingly frail under the spear's wind. Li Shishi, quickly have that heavenly star come out and contract with this king. Lin Chong has already begun killing. Zhao Cheng's face was like an evil spirit's, roaring. Li Shishi had already been scared stiff by this face. This king possesses this fierce general, the ghost cavalry king. Could it be she still is unmoved, or were you swindling this king? Zhao Cheng's tone appeared gloomy. Li Shishi blankly looked at little Yi. A divine thunder attacked from behind, and Zhao Cheng promptly evaded, seeing Su Xing had unexpectedly was trying to kill him. You have Lin Chong, and you still vainly want a second heavenly star. How laughable. Today, this king will make you repent. You have already lost your reason. Quickly reseal this monster. Wu Xinjie and the rest approached, shouting. Today, do not think any of you will be leaving here alive. You already do not have the qualifications to sign a star duel covenant. Before you give rise to an even greater injury, stop. The maid Little Yi's expressionless face stepped forward, her red eyes apathetically frightening. A small maid also dares to make thoughtless remarks to this king. Zhao Qing sneered and struck seals. The devil-suppressing stone steel's 11 devil-suppressing seals collapsed, and several dozen ghost cavalry divine generals, showing malevolent faces, pounced towards Little Yi. Little Yi abruptly rushed forward, brandishing her fists. On those fists, a rainbow light and astral wind reflected each other. Like the tip of a sharp sword, a fist descended and smashed a ghost to pieces. The girl dropped down, her maid's skirt fluttering, wearing long white boots, flashing a red tattoo on her thigh. Su Xing noted that the exposed stretch of her white back flickered with a flame. Her hands already gained dark red and dark blue boxing gloves. Her fists flickered with starlight, possessing an echo of Pisces. Her forehead had a dazzling star crest. Her identity was self-evident. Su Xing was mute. Zhao Qing was stupefied. What, you are that heavenly star? You are the skillful star, Wanderer Yan Qing. Zhao Cheng's whole body was trembling in excitement. Little Yi clenched her fists. Assuming a wrestling stance, that pair of red and blue clenched fists was rather dazzling, the two Pisces designs on her fists making swimming motions. Yin-yang Pisces fists. These were exactly the destined star weapons of the skillful star Yan Qing. Su Xing gulped, internally shouting. The cold and detached docile maid before his eyes unexpectedly was a heavenly star. This was far too outside of his expectations. Yan Qing, ha, 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 ha. This is too good. The legendary Yan Qing is a master of pen and sword not just in name only, but also in reality. Zhao Qing laughed loudly. Come quickly, sign a contract with this king. We shall ascend Maiden Mountain together. You do not have the qualifications to become my master. Yan Qing's expression was unsympathetic. Quickly stop. Hearing Yan Qing's refusal, Zhao Cheng's expression sunk, his tone unhappy. If this king wants wind, he gets wind. If he wants rain, he gets rain. How could this king not fit with you? Quickly sign a contract with this king. At that time, regardless of whether it is the exceptional genius Xie Zhenyuan of the Most High Path or the lifeless Hall's monster Yen Wudao, they will all obediently pledge allegiance underneath our feet. To see with his own eyes the heavenly star he yearned for in his dreams here, Zhao Qing already was becoming feverish. Do not look at the skillful star wanderer Yan Qing as only the heavenly star's end. 2. In the heavenly stars, she was a brilliant and famous person. Not only could she play many instruments and was proficient in speech, verse, dance and arts of all kinds, in terms of military strength, she was explosively awesome. Her close-quarters battle unarmed wrestling arts practically were hard to strive for. Her long range additionally had the legendary and famous color-changing, 3 arrows lethal crossbow. 3. Even her service to others was at an outstanding standard. This kind of smooth and slick heavenly star that could handle everything was certainly more incredible than the 5 tiger generals. Reseal him. Yan Qing was expressionless. The heavenly star that Zhao Qing had at last found was not joking around. He unbelievably shouted, "Are you mad? I have the Ghost Cavalry King Law Protector, just who could be our opponent?" Yan Qing raised her right hand, her 5 fingers clenched tight. A warm flame burned on her hand, and adopting an offensive stance, a powerful pressure shook. Seeing this posture of hers, Su Xing could not help but be moved. Zhao Qing retreated several steps in fear, hysterical. "You have gone mad, this king is but the majestic great Liang's 4th prince." How many star generals implored this king, yet this king thought them beneath him. Who? Short hair rose. A warm flame drifted. The skillful star was equivalently severe, executing an attack the next second. This fist directly exploded onto Zhao Cheng's stomach, and even he did not have time to react. Violently spitting out a mouthful of blood, he continuously stumbled backwards 100 steps. His lapel had been shook open, revealing a golden and glistening treasure armor. It seemed that it was not inferior to the golden thread fish scale armor, Cassier. The top-notch treasure armor split open a crack. The might of Yan Qing's fist could clearly be seen. "Ah, Ghost Cavalry King, quickly come protect this king." The Zhao Qing that survived by the skin of his teeth shouted, frightened. The Ghost Cavalry King heard Zhao Cheng's words and slightly wrinkled his brow, very displeased at this fellow. Still, he did not have much to say. Lin Yingmei's spear powerfully pierced by, the Arctic star's spear flickering, its silver light lustrous. The demon saber cleaved away Lin Yingmei's attack, the saber light's brightness forcing Lin Yingmei to retreat. Her figure like smoke ducked away, and the demon saber stopped Yan Qing's second fist. The girl's fists swung in a circle, her wrists shaking and trembling, and got rid of the Ghost Cavalry King's saber light. An 8 trigrams footwork wound towards the Ghost Cavalry King, and leaping upwards, the left fist of a cold flame attacked downwards. The Ghost Cavalry King's saber made contact, taking in and emitting black light as it went to devour Yan Qing. The girl's right hand intercepted it, and a powerful force shook Yan Qing back 100 steps. Seeing the Ghost Cavalry King handle Yan Qing and take the upper hand, Zhao Cheng's endlessly alarmed expression gradually calmed. He laughed heartily. "Yan Qing, since you are not willing to sign a contract, then this king will forcibly make you submit." Humph. The up until now apathetic girl swung her hand, shaking apart the remaining black chi. Lin Yingmei and the rest stood to the left and right. This Ghost King is not easy to handle. Joining hands will be better. Wu Xinjie said. Yan Qing calmly glanced at them, not saying a word. The legendary Star Generals. It seems you have real skill. The Ghost Cavalry King's voice dropped. Su Xing at this time struck seals. Several dozen flowers of purple star-blooming water divine thunder blossomed. Although these did not have one bit of use taking care of the Ghost Cavalry King, the magic purple cloud actually could restrain the Ghost Cavalry's black chi. The Ghost Cavalry King disdainfully swung his saber, and the several dozen blooming water divine thunders were extinguished in the blink of an eye. However, this was only the beginning. Two beautiful figures simultaneously fell before him. The Arctic Star Spear and the Yin-Yang Pisces fists enveloped the Ghost Cavalry King like a mirage, like a shadow. The Ghost Cavalry King did not dare be careless. Drawing out another shadow from the saber that appeared in a flash, it covered all the empty space behind him, a mighty and formidable shadow that seemed to break down that space, and it fiercely tore open the earth. For a moment, Stone Table City was completely covered with black clouds, dust clouds pervading the air. In the pervading dust cloud, Lin Yingmei already broke through the defenses and arrived. And at the same time, Yan Qing's assault also attacked, a move that collapsed strength. The flickering black demon saber of a shadow was brimming with killing chi. The Ghost Cavalry King used his weapon with one hand to block everything. The sounds of weapons suddenly striking. The after effect of the power of one of her fists was ample, and the Ghost Cavalry King unceasingly stepped backward. Just during the time he was sent reeling backwards, Yan Qing lowered her body and dived, her footwork nimble, launching another opportune attack in the blink of an eye. The two fists gathered power. Running water boxing. Raging flame boxing. 5. From time to time, it was quiet as an ice pool. From time to time, it moved like the sound of thunder. Yan Qing's boxing arts alternated their situation, continuous and unending, a yin and a yang Pisces occasionally converged then split apart, striking the black chi to pieces. The power of Lin Yingmei's spear also was not to be outdone. A nip in the air turned into wind, the freezing wind like a blade secretly sealed the Ghost Cavalry King's insolent chi. Often, the Ghost Cavalry King had thought of relying on magic energy to struggle free, but he had been restrained by these two girls. If it was not for him already refining his body into a ghost, perhaps the bones of his body would have broken. This was a Heavenly Star military general's military power. That fierce toothy mask suddenly emitted black light, and the air sharply hissed. The Ghost Cavalry King in a flash increased his frightening speed. Stone Tablet City's flying sand struck the rocks. Divine Ghost Mirage. 6. The Ghost Cavalry King roared. Suddenly, his figure seemed to disperse like smoke, and 33 Ghost Cavalry abruptly appeared. Each Ghost Cavalry's hand raised a long fork, wore black armor, and were evil and gloomy. Su Xing was startled. What cultivation method was this? The Ghost Cavalry King split into 33 Ghost Cavalry units that pounced at everyone in the square, wanting to engulf flesh to replenish himself. Su Xing threw out the earth shield to protect Wu Xingjia and the rest. Controlling an incantation, the Heaven Sword launched and grandly cut apart the surroundings. Lin Yingmei's spear light was like snow, long blizzard nights, that completely lacked restraint, rolling up those more than a dozen Ghost Cavalry, the blizzard twisting them dead cleanly. In the blink of an eye, the black wind once again aggregating into the Ghost Cavalry King's original body, but it would appear that he was considerably terrible. How are you this useless? Zhao Qing did not dare believe this. The magnificent, able to oppose Father Emperor Ghost Cavalry King unexpectedly could not take down two heavenly stars. This king's essence blood has yet to be restored, and this king was under the devil suppression for a long time. This king can kill anything. The Ghost Cavalry King said, inevitably and rightly. Zhao Qing hesitated, gnashing his teeth and again opening 11 devil-suppressing seals. This time, more than 30 black winds simultaneously gathered on the Ghost Cavalry King's body, his imposing bearing increasing sharply. The Ghost Cavalry King coldly shouted, a pressure that shook Su Xing and the rest backwards. The silhouette dashed. Saber light sprung up everywhere. Star General, taste this king's, ghost's god's bane. 7. The Ghost Cavalry King evilly smiled. The imposing manner of Lin Yingmei and the rest were chopped. Fully aroused protective star energy barely blocked it, but the Ghost Cavalry King's ghost's god's bane already hacked head-on towards Lin Yingmei. A silver light flashed. The heaven sword blocked this ghost's god's bane, the sword edge splitting apart. Su Xing actually did not fall back. Opening his mouth, more than a dozen rock-piercing water droplets immediately were spat out. Seeking death. The Ghost Cavalry King brandished his saber, sending Su Xing flying. The dozen purple cloud rock-piercing water droplets struck upon his body. The Ghost Cavalry King did not expect this simply unworthy cultivator would even have this. He was forced back several steps by the rock-piercing water droplets. Lin Yingmei coldly shouted, her spear persistent. She directly penetrated the Ghost Cavalry King's chest. The Ghost Cavalry King spurted out an engulfing black light. At this time, yet another figure flashed. Although the Knowledge Star did not have any attack strength, how could the ranked third in star energy be a joke? A star crest appeared on her forehead, the star energy protecting her body like a shield. She crossed both arms, stiffly blocking this black light. Star General, the Ghost Cavalry King became a shadow, retreating several dozen meters away. Having never faced 3 star generals, he felt startled. Suddenly, he sensed an approaching strict storming approaching on the attack. The skillful star Yan Qing attacked in the blink of an eye. Humph. The Ghost Cavalry King's long sword was about to chop at her. Inconceivably, Yan Qing suddenly blinked to right in front of him. The distance between them seemed to not exist, and he only saw her 2 fists continuously wave. In the blink of an eye, she had already linked several dozen fists. A powerful air mass carried a swift and fierce sharp hissing towards the Ghost Cavalry King, attacking from the front. Stop it. Escape it. It seemingly changed into something extravagant. Yan Qing's fists were ferocious flames, moving with a fully invasive nature. The yin-yang Pisces fists showed off 2 kinds of cold and warm light. The bright light exploded on the Ghost Cavalry King, quickly dazzling. Su Xing and the rest were frightened frozen. This is Yan Qing's yellow rank style. Su Xing mouthed. This invasively fierce boxing made people choke. His guess was not incorrect. This exactly was Yan Qing's yellow rank style. Swallow Flash Samsara. 8. Rumble. The air burst open, the final fist fiercely struck without a second. The Ghost Cavalry King's body and soul were nearly extinguished. Hurry and completely undo the devil-suppressing seals. The Ghost Cavalry King thundered at Zhao Cheng. Wu Xinjie stared blankly, hastily blocking, don't. Seeing the Ghost Cavalry King unexpectedly almost struck dead and also roaring at him like this, Zhao Qing subconsciously hastily undid the devil-suppressing steel's final layer of devil-suppressing seals to help the Ghost Cavalry King some. Should he die, that was of no benefit to himself. The final 33 divine general souls flew out. A haze deep as a black cloud seemingly pulled Stone Tablet City into the underworld. They saw the weak grandeur of the Ghost Cavalry King once again rejuvenate sharply, especially that Ghost's God's Bane's sharp and penetrating black light's depth that made people unable to look at it straight. This blockhead is going to die. Sure Yuan, in a moment, go take the devil-suppressing steel, Wu Xinjie lowly shouted, instructing Sure Yuan. The thief star nodded, retreating backwards and covertly entering the darkness. Only when Zhao Cheng heard Wu Xinjie's warning did he realize he committed a blunder. The 99 devil-suppressing seals completely were undone, and the Ghost Cavalry King's cultivation immediately reached an incomprehensible realm. The fierce and toothed mask was extremely malevolent. Zhao Cheng tightly clutched the jade ornament, his voice shaking, quickly kill them now. Leaving only Yan Qing is fine. The Ghost Cavalry King acknowledged, somewhat indifferent. Zhao Qing manufactured several tens of high-grade talisman beast bows. Rise, that Yan Qing is who? The Ghost Cavalry King turned his head, asking as he wished. That one that uses boxing. Zhao Qing replied. In an instant, a strange change suddenly appeared. Zhao Qing abruptly discovered his right arm had no feeling. When he looked, his arm unexpectedly had been chopped off by a black light. Zhao Qing screamed, and the Ghost Cavalry King solemnly arrived before him bringing a black fiend. Those talisman beasts simply did not even have a reaction. Black light cracked their bodies, turning them into ashes. You wish to control this king? Truly overestimating yourself. The Ghost Cavalry King's saber swung down. Zhao Qing could only throw out the devil-suppressing steel. The devil-suppressing steel was a large treasure. Even if it was fiercely thrown down like this, the might was fierce. Besides, this devil-suppressing steel was the nemesis of the Ghost Cavalry King who had a ghost body. The devil-suppressing steel's golden light flashed, forcing the Ghost Cavalry King to but only change to a spirit and disperse. And the Zhao Qing who picked up a life immediately threw out an earth-escape divine talisman. He disappeared into the ground he was at. The Ghost Cavalry King's void body again appeared before them in midair. They saw him open his mouth, and the black light he spat out devoured the flesh of the corpses of several dozen star cultivators to replenish the vital energy Yan Qing injured just now. This demonic technique made Su Xing feel disgusted and wretched. The Ghost Cavalry King did not chase after the fleeing Zhao Qing. That man was not worth mentioning anyways. What he was even more excited about were the delicacies present below. He evilly and sorrowfully laughed. You almost toyed this king to death just now. Now, it is this king's turn to toy you to death. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.